I'm Holly Constant.
And I'm Madi Hochberg. We really love Parks and Rec, and we really love behind-the-scenes details.
So we're researching everything from DVD extras like deleted scenes and commentaries,
plus interviewing cast and crew who actually worked on the show.
We also bring on guests and friends to geek out about everything parks.
So join us, you tropical fish.
This is literally the best Parks and Rec rewatch podcast.
We're your park pals.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Park Pals. Thank you so much for being here. After some technology troubles, we are here. We're live.
As always. I feel like always. And it's always me.
I mean, listen, like we were just saying, it picks certain people to, like, have a bad time with, so everybody's on their own journey. But we're here, we're doing it. Soda Tax, I'm glad to have you with us, Madi. That's very exciting.
Yes,
that you're here.
Me too. I'm excited.
Last week we had quite a bit of new things going on, but I heard from quite a few people as well from their agents and stuff. And so I got quite a few voice memos, which I'm very excited about. So I'm going to do a recap and I'm going to play those first. And I will say as a heads up, there are 3 people that sent in voice memos, which is amazing.
Aww,
but that
awesome.
means, which means that it's going to take a while. So if you need to skip ahead into actual, or if you need to like pause or whatever, that's fine. But I know that you'll want to hear these because these are great. But I'm just saying they have like time markers nowadays with podcasts. So like if you want to skip to where actual season like 5 episode 2 starts, that's going to be a second. So just hang on. But anyways, first we have a voice memo from Jenny Anne Hochberg, who played the gal who comes up to Ben while Leslie is in the coat closet and saying like, we need a quote for the general or whatever she says. And she's like working with the campaign. And she sent in some awesome voice memos. And she was just in a super cool theater show that looked amazing. Her headshots are wonderful. I talked about them on the last episode as well. So I'll just go ahead and start playing those now. This is the first one also is about her audition and how she got her job.
Hey, so how I got my job in Parks and Recreation is I'm originally from Baltimore County, Maryland. And in Maryland, we don't really use agents or managers. It's generally one casting website, and it's called Dragon Connects. At least at the time when I was living there, that's what primarily people use, what casting directors would use to post jobs, and then actors would submit that way. And they had a local casting director in Maryland, Pat Moran. She's one of the biggest casting directors in Baltimore, and she cast everything from John Waters films to The Wire. And I believe she also had posted it on her website if people wanted to submit that way for Parks and Recreation. And I remember seeing the audition pop up, and I was really excited because first off, they were looking for women in my age range who were also 5'8" or taller, which I am, so it was perfect. And also I really liked Parks and Rec at the time, and I still do. And so I submitted for the audition, not thinking anything like I'm going to get it. And then I got the audition, and I was a newer actor at the time. And so I remember going into the waiting room, and I believe it wasn't that we had to prepare scenes. They gave us cold reads. And so for anyone who's not an actor and knows what that means, cold reads is basically where you aren't given any time at the audition sides. It's basically you're giving them when you're in the room. And I can't remember if that's exactly how I was given it, but I thought it was a cold read. And so I remember coming in, I got the sides, and I noticed also that although they were casting a couple different roles for Ben's coworkers, we were all given the same scene to audition with. For the women and for the men, they were given similar scenes too. And I remember being very excited to be in Pat Moran's office because I had been a fan of her casting work for a very long time. I loved John Waters movies. And so her office is unlike any other casting office. It's so unique. It's so artsy and cool. And that's basically how Baltimore is. It's a very cool artsy vibe to it. And I remember seeing all the famous people's headshots that they had cast in movies. And I was so excited to see that with the people I looked up to. And I walk in and I was very excited to meet Pat Moran inside. Outside, I was very professional, but inside I was very excited because I had just seen her in a documentary about John Waters' Crybaby. So I knew exactly what she looked like. And I remember doing the scene, and I was a newer actor. So I thought, oh, I know how Parks and Rec is because I've seen the show. I can try and like make it a little funny. Like the line, I know what to do. I know how to make it comedic. And I remember after my first take, Pat Moran goes, for my very last line, the note she gave me was, just say, oh. Don't do anything else, but just say, oh, on that line. Don't try to change it. So I did exactly what she wanted. I went, oh, on the last line. I did the whole scene, but that's exactly how she wanted the last line. And after I did it, she went, okay, good. And I got up, I left, I went on, and I think it was about probably 4 days or a week after I get the notice that I booked Parks and Rec. It wasn't the one I auditioned for, the same character, but it was another coworker of Ben's. And I was so excited because this was like my first big TV booking. I had done a couple films before this. I had done theater my whole life as a kid and as a teenager. And I had also booked a couple smaller TV shows, but not like Parks and Rec. And I was so thrilled. I remember it was in my grandmother's house when I got the call in her living room. And I remember exactly where I was at that time in her house, jumping up and down, screaming, crying, and like telling my mom, oh my God, I just booked a TV show. Like I just booked Parks and Rec. Oh my God. And I was just watching it on TV like that week. And Parks and Rec completely changed my life in ways that I never imagined. And I'm forever thankful to Pat Moran for giving me this opportunity.
Oh my God, that is so cool.
Very cool.
Oh my God, I would have freaked out too. I love that she like remembers exactly where she was, and I do wonder which character that was. Maybe it was for one of the other like tall girls that says oh after she says like Pawnee is a total crap hole or something like that. Pawnee, Missouri is a total crap hole or whatever. Something like that. But I love that. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I'll have
that's
to look
so
that
cool.
up too. I don't know that I'm familiar with Dragon Axe. Is that what she said? The
It sounded
website?
very similar. It's something with dragon in it. I was like, what is this?
I need to look it up because, you know, people know that I'm like from an hour and a half away from DC, and I would love to book something in like DC, Baltimore area and like go home. That would be really cool. So I'll have to look that up and follow Pat Moran. Also, if I'm ashamed to say that I didn't really know John Waters movies, but yes, Crybaby she mentioned. He did the 1988 Hairspray, if you're familiar with
Oh, cool.
Cecil B. Demented, Serial Mom, some other ones, but yeah, that's funny. Anyways, great. Okay, awesome. So that was the first one. Thank you, Jenny. That was so cool. Okay, here's the second one.
What I remember about where we filmed Parks and Rec was it was a really nice hotel in DC. And yes, it was actually a hotel in DC. People ask me this all the time. Oh, did we shoot in DC or was it LA? Am I from LA? Because I did Parks and Rec. And no, it was actually a really nice hotel in DC. And it was like the top floor of the hotel. And it was beautiful, the ballroom we were in. I remember I had this really nice view of DC from the balcony and just natural sunlight coming in. It was really, really nice from what I remember.
Nice.
Cool. I like that they actually filmed in DC.
Yeah, totally. So I talked about this last week, but they didn't know that they were actually going to shoot in DC. They had no idea, but like when season 4
when they
wrapped,
got the script.
Yeah, they didn't know. And so because I found a few articles where Amy Poehler was saying like that'd be cool to see us in DC, but I'm not sure. We'll see what happens. And from the articles it says that they were actually at the Hey Adams. So someone would need to fact check that. So, and the Hey Adams, again, I talked about this last week. Sorry if this is a repeat for some people, but the Hey Adams is a very political savvy place to be for a lot of like politicians and reporters and things like that. And so they said that it was actually filmed there in the articles. But again, who's to say? If somebody that could confirm that, that'd be great. But from my head, I'm going to say that it was at the Hey Adams. That would make sense.
I'm with you.
And then let's see. Okay, here is the third one.
So what I remember about Parks and Rec, and I apologize if I may like jump around with some of like the memories that come up. So I'm hoping this all makes sense. But I remember filming on my birthday, and I shot actually on my birthday, and it meant so much to me to film a TV show I really loved watching at the time, not only on my birthday, but also it was like my first big acting job. Like I'd done other things, but not at that level. And so it just meant so much to me. And I remember I lived right out of DC at the time, like right outside of it. And so I remember on the way to DC, the train in, I was like listening to like music and thinking like, enjoy this moment, like enjoy the fact that you get to be a working actor and you get to do what you love and it's on your birthday. Like take this moment in. And when I got to the hotel where we filmed, so we didn't really have trailers, which is what I was also looking for when I got to set. We actually were all kind of kept, like me, Amy, Adam, Chris, Aubrey, we're all kept off in this like little ballroom off to the side. So where they mostly shot was this big ballroom, which was mostly the stuff with Ben and his coworkers. And then next to that was the coat room with John McCain. And then off to the side was the little ballroom. And that's also where they kept us, like I said, but they also kept the hair and the makeup people, the craft services, wardrobe. So I remember becoming very friendly with the hair person. Everyone, I would like to say first-handedly, from crew to cast, was so lovely to work with on Parks and Rec. I have nothing bad to say about my Parks and Rec experience. Everyone was so nice to me and so kind to work with. Just a great experience. Overall, I have nothing but great memories of Parks and Rec. But back to what happened that day, me and the hair person became very friendly, and I was like telling her, like, please don't brush out my hair because I'll look like a chia pet if you do. It's just how my hair works. And she made my hair look really nice, and I looked very polished and professional. And I remember loving my outfit because I felt like such a politician's wife because I had to look like I worked in politics because I'm one of Ben's coworkers. And the first people I met from Parks and Rec actor-wise was Chris and Aubrey, and I had just finished getting my hair and makeup done, and I had turned to the hair person, and before I got out of my hair and makeup chair, and I said, I look like such a pretty princess, because I did. I looked great. And I popped out of the chair, and I was introduced to Chris and Aubrey like said hi to me, and she was so sweet, and Chris was very nice. And then I jokingly said to Chris, I feel like such a pretty princess. Don't I look like such a pretty princess? And he goes, you look like such a pretty princess. You really do. I would never say that to someone now, but I had like that chutzpah being like a new actor. It's fine to make a joke like that. And so we kept talking, and then they took him and Aubrey off to film one of the scenes. And I had hung out with the crew at that point, just talked to them a little bit, anyone who wasn't needed for filming, because I knew some of them from Baltimore because we all went to school together. They then brought me out for my first scene and mic'd me, and I remember being so nervous. You can't tell, no one knew, but I was very nervous because it was like, oh my God, my first TV show, my first big TV show. So I was very nervous. And Amy introduced herself to me, and same with Adam. They were the first people I shot with. And I also met John McCain. He introduced himself to everyone. He was with his handlers were with him, and he had said hi and waved at everybody, and very kind to everybody, and so professional and so sweet. I mostly talked to Adam during my first scene because we both came in from the same entrance for the scene when I interrupt Amy. And so he and I talked about like life. We talked about what it was like in DC, any restaurants he's been to. Has he had time to go to anything in DC? We've talked about LA. What is it like in LA? We mostly talked about like his experience and his travel. And we had a couple really great conversations. He was so nice. I really love also Boy Meets World, and I really wish I had talked to him about that. That's the one thing I did not get to talk to him about, was also Boy Meets World. But I just talked about life and travel and different places around the world and stuff like that. And I talked about me being from Baltimore originally and going to New York, and we just talked about a bunch of stuff like that. I remember in the middle of one of the takes, between takes, Amy came up to me and said, hey, could you just like give it a beat before you come in? I really want to land this comedy moment. Just give me like a beat before you come in. She wasn't directing the episode, but she just gave me a little comedy note to help her. And I did it. And I also talked to the directors and the writers a bunch, and they were so kind also. And after we shot, I went up to Amy, and again, the chutzpah of being me so young in this industry, and I went up to her and I put my fist pound out. I like tried to give her a fist pound. I said, we did it. And she goes, like not knowing what I was trying to do. And so she like shook my fist pound, and she was smiling, laughing like, hi, yeah. And I said, oh, I'm so sorry. Like, can we do a fist pound? And she goes, oh, okay. And she like smiles awkwardly, gives me a fist pound. And then we walked off. I remember that, and I will never forget that moment. So help me. I will. And I was like, never try to do a fist pound with Amy Poehler. I never want to confuse the woman again like that. But she was such a sport about it, and she was so nice. And then the scenes that we were shooting, the rest of the scenes were so dependent on sunlight. And I remember like they had not only our scenes with Ben's coworkers, the 4 females, but they also had the politicians. So they like Nancy Pelosi, and they had actually like their work that day. They had appointments they had to get to. And so not in the episode, but like in real life. And so they said, this is very dependent on, I remember the crew telling me this is very dependent on if we can get their stuff shot in time and if we're going to get enough sunlight to do your second scene. And I was so nervous because I was like, oh, no, please, please, please. That's my bigger scene, which it ended up not making the episode. But my second scene did make NBC.com, and I think it might be on the Peacock app. It's a much bigger improv scene I got to do with Amy and Adam and one of the other female coworkers of Adam's. And I remember praying with the woman who was supposed to be my second scene because that was the only scene she was in the whole episode. So we were like, please, please, please don't let us get cut. We're like praying. They were able to get the politicians done in time. They were able to shoot Nancy Pelosi stuff, and they were able to get us in time. And I remember when we shot that scene, they didn't change setups for anything. So they kept the same camera angles. They just set up, because there was 4 of us, so they set up 4 different camera angles, 2 behind Amy and Adam and 2 behind me and my other and the other actor in the scene. And it's very mockumentary, so that way they can capture everything at once. They don't have to do multiple setups. I believe they didn't change camera angles at all. I remember that. And we did a couple takes scripted, and then Amy at one point goes, can we just do an improv take? And Amy, I think, talks about this in her book, or she talks about this in interviews, where she says she likes to do a couple improv scenes or a couple improv takes with Parks and Rec. And so we did a couple. And I remember the last one we did, Amy and I as our characters, because I had talked about this when we were at the casting of Parks and Rec. They were looking for women who were 5'8" or taller. They wanted women at that height because they had to have Amy feel, as Leslie, very intimidated by Ben's coworkers and a little bit jealous, which you can tell in the episode. And so Amy and I kind of start, like, I am flirting with Ben in the scene, and Amy gets, like, as Leslie gets a little jealous. And so she and I, at the end of our improv, which did not make the episode, did not make the clip on NBC.com either, but she and I just go back forth, and we just end up saying, okay, all right, okay. We just start going to this little competition of saying, okay. I also remember when I was brought in for my second scene, when Amy gave me her hand, she went, hello again, and she shook her hand. I went, yep, handshake and only handshake. I remember, yep, handshake only, never a fist pound ever again. And I remember after we shot, they all said goodbye to us, and Aubrey and her and Adam Cotton were like all sitting on the floor hanging out before they took them downstairs. And that's how my Parks and Rec shoot went. It was life-changing. It was absolutely amazing. Fun fact, at my fitting for Parks and Rec, which is also at the same hotel where we shot the episode, I had heard some of the crew that I met, the producers, talk about Amy not getting to DC yet, and that she had this really weird driver, and they were like texting about it and making jokes about it, and Amy was like making jokes with them about this weird driver they had. And I remember months later, I was watching Jay Leno randomly, and Amy Poehler was on, and she was talking about the season premiere of season 5 of Parks and Rec. And I thought maybe she'll talk about my fist pound story or like something random weird from that shoot. And she talked about the same story with the driver that I had overheard at my fitting, and they showed the clip of me and John McCain and her and Adam, and that was a clip, and that's the one that made Jay Leno, and it made me so happy. So that's how it was for me to film Parks and Rec. I still think very highly of the whole experience, completely changed my life, and I mean, I'm forever grateful for shooting that day, and I had a great conversation with the producers at the end of filming.
Oh my God. That was incredible. What's that?
I love it.
Oh my God. I have so many notes about all the things that you said, Jenny. Oh my God. First of all, okay, the pretty princess line, that is hilarious. And yeah, definitely something that I feel like a young person would say, or younger person would say, maybe. I have those thoughts all the time where I think about what I said like when I was younger or did when I was younger. And I'm like, how did I survive that? I'm glad that Chris was good about it.
Yeah. Some of those memories live rent free in my brain, and it's debilitating that I will think back to things that, and some of them aren't just like embarrassing. It's like, how could you say that to someone? And I was 9, right? But it's like, in my head, I'm like, I was such a bitch.
Oh my God. No. Well, you learned from it, I guess. But this instance, I'm just glad that it ended up being a fun story and that it wasn't like awkward or weird. And if it was awkward, it was like still just a fun story. Like, who cares? So good. Like, no one else can say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
Meeting John McCain, oh my God, I can't. And Amy and Adam, like, all together. And the fact that that's the clip that made Jay Leno, oh my God, I would just be
so
over
cool.
the moon. Oh,
Yeah.
So cool.
I really like John McCain. I was
Yeah.
sad when he passed away.
Yeah. Boy Meets World. Oh my gosh, Jenny, we did a whole thing on Boy Meets World when Adam Scott first came on in season 2, right?
Mhm.
End of season 2 or whatever. We did a whole little section and on his Boy Meets World. Well, just in general, all of his like roles, and Boy Meets World was definitely one of them. And it's just freaking hilarious because he was so young. So that would have been hilarious to like talk to him about that. He was such a cool dude, like such a suave, debonair, cool guy. It was such a different vibe I feel for him, which is so interesting.
Yeah.
I'd love to see him do
It's
that
kinda-
again.
Yeah. It's kind of like a less douchey version of who he is in Step Brothers.
Yeah, I guess so. That's true. A little bit of a bully.
Which makes me uncomfortable. I saw Step Brothers after I watched Parks and Rec, so I get very uncomfortable. 'Cause
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
definitely
this
different.
isn't who you are.
Yeah, it is different. Okay, let's see. What else did I have? Oh, yeah, I'm talking to him about stuff like in LA and DC and all that stuff. That must have been so cool. I can't even. I love that Amy Poehler gave her a note, but I could also see how that would be like so intimidating as far as like, oh my God, Amy Poehler just told me to do something, which is like, again, a great story. But in the moment, I'm sure it was, well, for me, maybe I'm projecting, but for me, it would be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. You know what I mean? I'd be
Yeah.
freaking out.
Didn't we have a guest come on, and forgive me, I'm not going to remember who this was, that said they got one direction from the director and one from another actor
Yeah.
or something, and so they had to like in the moment be
Decide.
like, who do I listen to?
Yeah, it was
I
the
can't
shoe
remember who
shine
that
guy,
was.
the other guy who
Oh, yeah,
did the
yeah,
shoe
yeah.
shine for when Chris
Mhm.
Pratt was like being a assistant to Leslie or whatever, and he didn't have time to be the shoe shine guy.
You're right.
Yeah, Chris Pratt. But I felt like that was a little different because Chris Pratt was like trying to be like funny with it and trying to be like, let's do this like fuck it take and let's just
Yeah.
like, you know, have fun with it kind of thing and do something different. And the director was like, don't do that. And yeah, he had to choose which one to do. And I think it ended up that he did the director thing. And I think that one in particular got cut or something like that. So he was like, oh no, I've destroyed everything and I never got asked back. And that must be why. That's why.
Right.
It wasn't cut. It was just like he never got asked back and they were thinking about maybe having him back. That's totally not the reason why. He was amazing. It was just, it didn't work
Yeah.
out in his favor. But I could totally see how you'd spiral and think that. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That just reminded me of that, like getting a direction from an actor and being like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
Like,
But I
do
guess you
this
do
or not?
whatever Amy tells you to do, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, she is a producer on it. Pratt wasn't a producer on it yet. So she
Fair point.
kind of knew, or she was more in the leadership team, I feel.
Yeah. Fair.
Oh my God, the fist bump or fist pound, as she says. Oh my God,
Yeah.
that's so hilarious.
I've never heard it called a fist pound.
Fist pound. Yeah. That's a new one. But also so funny that I feel like Amy Poehler of all people should know what a fist bump is. Like,
Wouldn't you think?
like, that's just really hilarious. Maybe she was just off
Yeah.
her like game or
Off her
in
game.
that second. I don't know. Or maybe she just was thrown off by it. I don't know. She wasn't focused on a fist bump. I don't know. I will have to look at that improv scene, Jenny, because I did not find that on the deleted scenes anywhere. And that was what was really upsetting to me as she was saying it. I was like, what? I would have loved to see that. So maybe it's still on NBC.com or YouTube or something. So I'll have to search that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it got to be on Jay Leno as well. And you got to improv with Amy Poehler. So it would have been amazing if some people like us could see that. But the fact that you got to do it was just out of this world. That's amazing.
Yes.
Oh my God. And yes, when Jenny's talking about improv scenes, those are the fun runs that they are calling them. Fun runs are, you get the shot done, you do what's scripted, and then after a while, you can just mess around and play and see what else comes up with it. Mel Cowan, who is the red-faced man, is kind of like famous in my head for those because he is the one that was like, go back to where you came from. And she's like, I am back where I came from. And that was a fun run. So that's freaking hilarious. But yeah, oh my God, that's amazing. Oh, and the last thing, so it was Barbara Boxer and Olympia Snow that were the senators in the scene, not Nancy Pelosi. Although Nancy Pelosi would have been amazing, and I would love to see that eventually. And they did talk about that in the articles that I was reading that, Barbara Boxer and Olympia Snow, they had shit to do. So they were just trying to get their stuff done as quickly as possible first. And then they would do their stuff. They kind of dropped in, said their lines, and left. And they did
So
great.
cool that they agreed to do it.
I know. It is. And it's really amazing too that I feel like I think both of them have, including John McCain, because John McCain was on SNL before this. But I think both of them, Barbara Boxer and Olympia Snow, had done acting stuff before, like cameos, not a ton.
Oh, cool.
So I think that was helpful too, and something that if you didn't listen to last episode that I saw in one of the articles was that Olympia Snow said that it was just from one theater to the next, like one theater of politics to the theater of acting, if that makes sense. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah, because they have to remember speeches and policies and stuff as well. Anyways, okay, so we have one last voice memo from Jenny about what she can promote, where we can follow her, all that kind of stuff.
So you can follow me on Instagram at jenny.ann.hochberg. And I also actually just finished being a lead role in an off-Broadway show called October 7th. It was a wordplay, very different than Parks and Rec material-wise. I was playing a real person, and we were all in the cast telling true stories that happened around this event that took place in the play. It was life-changing, and we actually received great reviews from both the press and audiences alike. I think they're doing more developmental work with progressing the projects. I think more is going to be happening with October 7th. I'm also in the middle of workshopping a new play with some of my castmates from that show as well. And I will say Parks and Rec is also one of the things I mostly get recognized from more than anything. Even one of my castmates, when she found out I was on it, one of my besties in the show, Rebecca, she was very excited and she remembered exactly the episode. And she was like, I didn't like that you were flirting with Ben and that's Leslie's man. And she was very excited to find out I was in Parks and Rec. I also coach actors for a living. So that's my little side hustle. I coach all different levels from Emmy Award winners to people who are brand new in acting. I work on everything from audition sides to audition classes where we work on different audition sides just as practice. I do business of acting classes and coaching where we talk about agents, managers, working on cover letters, going over headshots, everything. And I also work as a reader for casting directors, and I've also worked as a casting assistant. So when I coach actors, I have that side of the table coming into my coaching. But thank you so much for having me, and I'm so glad that Parks and Rec still means so much to so many people as it did to me. Thank you for having me.
Yay! Oh my gosh. Amazing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I will tag her, and I'm so sorry. I have been saying Hochberg for her last name, but it's Hochberg. So I am very sorry about that, Jenny. But yes, I will tag her in Instagram so you guys can follow her. I'll also look up her acting stuff so that can be in the show notes, and we can follow her that way. And yes, that's actually funny that the best friend, her bestie in the show is named Rebecca, and the amalgam of the hot, tall girls are Hot Rebecca for the jealousy amalgam that Leslie created. But oh my God, that was amazing. I loved hearing all that behind the scenes details. This is why I say, just tell us everything and I'll cut what I need to, and why I very rarely cut things, because everybody always has such amazing things to say. So I'm so excited about that. Oh my God. Thank you so much, Jenny.
Yeah. And everybody's experience is so unique because it's a different role. It's a different episode. It's a different, it's very cool to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I am really upset that I did not see the improv scene of her flirting with Ben, because I don't know where the hell that is. Why wasn't that on the deleted scene? That seems very out of character. If it was on NBC, why wasn't it on the deleted scenes that I paid for, the DVDs for? Okay. Anyways, maybe I'll look again. Whatever. Anyhow, oh my God. I retract my statement, you guys. I'm the worst. Okay, I was really freaking out. It's because I watched the deleted scenes for Soda Tax first. I haven't actually watched the deleted scenes for Miss Knope Goes to Washington. Okay, you guys, we all make mistakes.
Yes,
sorry.
And that's
I retract my pissed off statement. I will go ahead and watch that and keep you guys posted. Oh my God, I was really angry. Okay. Well, listen, this is how important it is to me. Okay. Wow. Amazing. I'm not cutting that because I'm a human. All right.
Yep.
Agreed. Okay, next we have Jessica Hansen, and she plays one of the women that asks Leslie what she does, and then Leslie answers. She's actually the taller one of the two, and Leslie answers by saying she's on city council, and then the lady next to Jessica says, oh, my grandma's on the city council, which is like such a gut wrench. But she's the one, Jessica, the one that sent a voice memo, is the taller one of the two, and she's like blonde in this. I think she's blonde in this one, but she changed her hair, which looks beautiful. It was just like a shock to see her IMDb. I was like, oh, That's her. But I love this because Jessica seems like the epitome of hot Rebecca jealousy amalgam that we talked about, because I feel like she is like very tall, very pristine looking in this. And I mean, she is in general, but the way that they like did her makeup and hair and everything and her wardrobe was totally what Leslie's talking about. Um, but anyway, she has a whole new studio and was stressing about the studio not being completely set up yet because she does a lot of voiceover work. And so she was stressed about the sound quality, but which I totally understand how that feels. And I was just like, the content is great though, and that's what's most important to us. But I do want to give that disclaimer because I know that she has the capability to record amazing quality, but I just wanted the content. And if, she sends me another thing, that's great. But I'm hoping that this is the thing, like the next thing that is in her studio is something really high paying, really high exposure, super high fun. And anyway, I just wanted to preface that because I know that she is stressed about that and we just are so understanding. Okay, so here's Jessica.
Hi, Holly. This is Jessica Hansen. So while my studio is intact and I'm technically in it, things are not yet connected. So this recording is coming to you through my phone. Womp womp. I had hoped this would be like a super fun way to kick off my very first recording in my new studio. Alas, you're my first recording inside my new studio. Okay, so your questions. How did I get my job on Parks and Rec? It was an audition through Pat Moran up in Baltimore, and I went up there, and she was very wonderful about my audition. She knew exactly what they wanted and was very helpful in giving me direction to help me give the performance that she knew they were looking for. Um, so it was a really lovely auditioning experience, and I booked the gig, and a minute later they had me in for a fitting. It was very organized, clearly a weekly show. They were on a weekly schedule. They had me come down for a fitting. The costume wardrobe folks were really lovely, but, super cute dress from Banana Republic that I almost bought because I liked how it looked so much. Um, and then on the day of the show, on the day of the shoot, I think my call time was noon, and Lauren White, who booked the other day player role in this, she and I got to the Hay Adams, which is where it was shot. And the Hay Adams, if you don't know, the Hay Adams Hotel is a very historic hotel in Washington. It's as close as you can legally get to the White House at this point. Um, Named after John Hay, who I think was in the cabinet of Abraham Lincoln. Anyway, it's a beautiful, gorgeous, historic old hotel. And on set that day also, which you'll know because you've just watched the episode again, were Senators Olympia Snow and John McCain, and Barbara Boxer was there. And I did meet John McCain. I've been in hair and makeup for a while, sort of a green room hair and makeup, sort of open room. I think we're on the 8th floor of the Hay Adams. And we'd been there for a while and gotten our hair done, and we were just, running lines and waiting, as you do on set. And I had to use the restroom. And when I came out of that room and found a PA to tell me which restroom I could use, somebody else had told me I had to go downstairs a flight because they were shooting. And I came out and there was all this plastic everywhere, blocking all the halls, like plastic sheeting like painters use. And I came out and the PA walked me through. And I said, no, aren't they shooting? He said, it's okay. They're between shots. So we literally walked through the shot that John McCain was shooting. And as I walked through, the PA was walking me through. And so I went into the bathroom and I used the bathroom and I came out and the PA wasn't there anymore, but John McCain was. And he was hiding under that counter in the, what was it, like the hat check or the coat room or something. And he got up because I looked sort of nervous, I guess, or tentative. Like I didn't know if it was okay to walk through. There wasn't a PA, there was nobody to really ask. And John McCain got up and took me and escorted me through the set back to the green room. So there's my John McCain story. Sidebar. Okay, so after I think it was probably 6.5 hours. It was probably 6:30 in the evening, when we got to set, which was literally the next room over. And we walked through it a little bit. Amy wasn't there yet, but Adam Scott was, and Nick Offerman and Aubrey Plaza and the director and all the crew and everybody. And so we sort of walked through what the shots would be, and shook hands with Adam and had a few pleasantries. Um, and then Amy came in and said she had a script. She said, "Can I get pages?" And somebody handed her just the pages for the scene script. And she looked at it. She was like, "You've never experienced concentration like this before." She had been on set shooting since 5:30 in the morning. She'd been shooting like B-roll scenes and unbelievable. She had already been going for 13 hours, and she walked in. She said, "Can I get pages?" Somebody handed her the script. She's looking at it. She reads through it maybe twice. She says, "Can we run it?" So the four of us sort of just try to run through the lines together. And she said one of Lauren's lines, and Lauren was so obviously like a little hesitant, but had to say, "Hey, I think that's my line." Sorry, Amy. And she's so sweet. Lauren is like the sweetest, most lovely human on the planet. And so, she was dear about it. And then Amy said, "Yeah, okay, give me a second." And she read the script again once more. And she said, "Can we run it?" We ran it again. We ran the lines again. And then we started shooting. It was that fast. There was not really a rehearsal with, like tons of direction or specifics or, here's what we're going. I mean, there was a little bit of, like, this is the scene, this is what we're going for. But, it's not like a stage rehearsal where you are exploring motivations and all that stuff. TV rarely is, I think. So, in my experience, my limited experience. So we shot the scene, and here's the great part. I think we shot it like maybe 10 or 11 times. We shot it a lot. And each time we shot it, when Nick Offerman and Aubrey Plaza came in, they were different every time, and it got bigger, and the comedy got broader every time. Um, and there were some takes that I just thought were endlessly hilarious, and it was they were startlingly funny, and they did not make the cut. And I was very sorry to see that Nick Offerman with crab claws in between each of his fingers and stealing food off my plate. I was really sorry that didn't make the cut on the editing room. But yeah, but what did make the cut was I think my facial responses to Lauren White got increasingly incredulous and flabbergasted as the takes went on. And I think they took my reaction shots from, it might have been the last take. So maybe they were waiting on me. Maybe we did 11 takes for me. I don't know. Anyway, it was a delightful day on set. After we finished shooting, Amy went straight to a wall and sat down to look at pages for the next scene. And I stopped by to thank her, and she was super gracious. She stood up. I was like, "Don't get up." She stood up and said, "Thank you so much," and super kind and lovely. And then, we packed our stuff in the green room and filled out our paperwork, and I was out of there by before 8 o'clock, I think. So shooting itself didn't take long at all. It was as it usually is on set. It was the waiting to get ready to shoot. But it was a wonderful day. It was my favorite day at the office by far so far in my life. Um, Everybody was really kind and generous and gracious and professional and warm and friendly. And it just really was a magical, magical experience.
Okay, yeah, Jessica, that was amazing. I really appreciated all of that. I made notes for that as well. Oh my gosh, yes, Pat Moran again, that casting director. That's lovely that that went through. Oh my gosh, and that so many people were able to get casted through her. And it sounds like she gave great direction to all the actors auditioning, so that's fun.
Yeah.
And not always common, you know. I love that we confirmed that it's the Hay Adams Hotel. That's lovely.
Yes.
That was in DC. And yes, I looked it up while she was talking, and John Hay was definitely with Abraham Lincoln. So good knowing that, Jessica. Very well done. And yeah, shooting 10 or 11 times is quite a lot, I feel. So I'm glad that they got all the shots that they needed. And then she was saying Nick Offerman, but she was talking about Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt had those shrimp claw fingers. And yeah, I would have loved to see some more of that in the shot as well. But that must have been, I mean, that's really interesting to hear about Amy Poehler's day on set because, I mean, that must have been crazy. There were so many different extras, so many different day players, and she was in scenes with literally all of them, with the senators, with the day players, with John McCain, with, Jenny Ann Hochberg, who was Ben's coworker. Like, she was in all of them. So I wonder if she memorized her lines before that, or if she is one of those people that I know, Kaylee Cuoco talks about this too, the one that was in Big Bang Theory and a bunch of other stuff. But she talks about how like she gets to set and like looks at the lines and then just memorizes them there. And I'm like, how? But I wonder if Amy Poehler just like didn't have the time because of travel and all this stuff. And like I guess technically her lines were not monologues necessarily. So I just wonder. But that's really interesting backstory. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, Jessica, for that. And then I think that she sent in one more voice memo.
Oh, and you asked if I wanted to promote anything. Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking. People can find me on my performer's website at jessicahansen.net, Hansen, jessicahansen.net. I primarily do voiceover work now, so if any of your listeners happen to need to hire a voiceover artist, they can find me there. And I also do a lot of voice coaching. That's actually my primary business now is voice coaching. And they can find me at sigsound.net, sigsound.net. Or they can just search for Signature Sound or my name, and that for sure will come up. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, X, Threads, Facebook, you name it. Usually the handle is JessAct, JessActs. And I also have a Facebook page that's mostly about voice work, voice coaching stuff. So if people want tips, they can either visit my Facebook artist page or they can sign up for my mailing list at sigsound.net. I'm also working on a book to help people sort of be their own voice coach, to speak with their own authentic sound and sort of figure out how to resist any of those pressures to not sound like their authentic selves. So if anybody has stories that they would want to share for that, any experiences or struggles with their voices that they are experiencing now or have experienced, they can find me there too at sigsound.net. And shoot me an email or set up a call or whatever if they want to talk to me, or just post it on my Facebook page. Thank you so much, Holly, for inviting me to be a part of this. It was just really fun to take this little walk down memory lane.
Yay. Thank you, Jessica, so much. That was so lovely.
Yeah.
I
So
will
nice.
definitely post all those things on the show notes, and I'll tag you and all that stuff. So if you want to take voiceover lessons from her or check out her book and all that good stuff when it comes out, I would love to have Park Pals celebrate her. So that was amazing. Again, I feel like we could literally, this is why I put such importance on the day players, because they just have stories that you would never know and that you are so cool to hear. So, I mean, I just think it's really important. So anyway, so that's that. And then the last voice memo that we have, and then this will be the last one before we actually get started on Soda Tax, is from Amy Tolsky, who is with, she was the one actually who was at the Department of Interior when Leslie goes to present her river cleanup. And she's the one that lists all the different Pawnees, like is that Pawnee, Missouri, Indiana, all the other ones. And I loved her performance. And I did talk about this last week, but she's in the movie Quiz Lady on Hulu with Awkwafina, Will Ferrell, and Sandra Oh. So take a look at that if you are looking for a new movie to watch, or if you just want to support some Parks and Rec people. But here's Amy.
Hi there. This is Amy Tolsky. I played Lucinda on season 5, episode 1 of Parks and Rec, called Ms. Knope Goes to Washington. I remember the audition very clearly. It was my first time going in for Parks and Rec, my first time meeting Dorian Frankel, in fact. And she was so sweet, such a nice lady. And I felt pretty at ease right away. She did say that we were going to leave the tape rolling, and, we're going to do the lines as written, but then we're just going to keep the tape rolling and improvise at the end. So I got excited because, I thought, oh, great, I can finally use some of my Second City and Groundlings training to use for an audition. And we did that. We did just that. And we went back and forth a few times. It was a lot of fun. And I left feeling pretty good. And that was back in 2012. And that was actually a really good year for me. So maybe that helped because I felt, a certain kind of confidence going in. I don't know. I mean, you're always a little nervous in these in-person ones. I do miss them though, because since the pandemic, I've only been in person for theatrical like once since the pandemic happened. And that was just recently for a callback for a series reg. Anyway, which was exciting. Another story completely. But I have been back in person for commercials. Anyway, I digress. So, okay, I find out that I booked the job and it was a thrill. We shot at, I think we were at Radford. But I remember sitting in my dressing room for a very long time. I mean, it could have been, 4 or 5 hours or something. And I thought, oh my goodness, when are we going to be doing this scene? So then I'm told we're all going to get in the van, and we get in the van and we go to Van Nuys Courthouse. And I thought, oh my goodness, that's so crazy. I could have just met you here because I live probably about 10 minutes from there. And anyway, so we got there and did we rehearse? I don't even remember. I think we just did a little bit of camera blocking. And I think they did, which was unusual, they did my footage first. Oftentimes, I think they tend to do, the regulars footage first. But they did my footage first, and then Dean Holland was the director, and he said, so you know how we work here. And I thought, actually, no. He said, well, basically, we just like to keep the camera rolling. We don't like to say cut. And just, we'll play and we'll do it many times. And I thought, okay, great. So I think after the first time he said cut, and I'm like, oh no, did I do something wrong? I was freaking out. But it was whatever. It was probably a camera issue or something. So, and when we were looking, I was looking at an actual computer for the scene, because that's the one where she asks all the different Pawnees. So I'm looking at my computer, and the prop guys were so great. Of course, I memorized it, but the prop guys had all the different Pawnees on there. So, I actually have the list in front of me just as a safety net in case, I got nervous or went up or whatever. So that was kind of cool. Amy couldn't be nicer. I mean, she was just lovely. And we did all of my footage, and then we were going to take a break, and I thought, oh, well, I wonder if we're doing the turnaround. And so I said something to Amy. I said, hey, so do you think I'll get a chance to riff with you and improvise a little bit? And she said, oh, well, sometimes we do that. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how it goes. I mean, we're going to do the turnaround now. And I thought, oh, well, if we're doing the turnaround, then it's not likely I'll be getting to riff because all my close-ups have already been done. So I thought, oh, okay, well, whatever. So then we did the turnaround for hers, and we did do a little bit of improvising at the end as she was leaving, which unfortunately didn't make the cut because they caught it. They cut the scene right when she said Indiana, and but there was this whole little good, okay, bye, thank you. And I do remember one thing that Dean said, because obviously you could do that scene a number of ways. You could be, the bitchy civil servant or whatever. He said, I love what you're doing. Make sure that you're nothing but nice to her. It was very important. He said, I don't want any snark. I don't want any sarcasm. Just make sure you're really, really nice to her. And I thought, okay, that's great. So that's how we did it. And that's basically what you see. Oh, the hair and makeup. Well, I have very curly hair, and I guess they just wanted to make me look a little more sleek. So it was probably the best hair and makeup people I've ever had before. And I loved how it looked. It was very soft and just a little flip. And it looked really nice. It was probably one of my favorite pictures that I ever got from set. Yeah, just that, everybody was so nice. Once we actually got going, it was so quick. And I thought, so okay, we're done? Wow, okay. And that was it. So anyway, it was a nice, easy day. Since then, I continued to work in television. I do a lot of theater as well. You can find me on Instagram at amy.tolsky. You can see any reels on IMDb. And what do I have coming up? Well, I shot an episode for St. Denis Medical, which will be airing, I believe, in the fall. It's a new NBC show. And one of the stars happens to be Mecky Leeper, who I did jury duty with. He was actually in jury duty. He was one of the jurors, the bespectacled guy, and who had the girlfriend. And he plays a very funny character in St. Denis. He also actually wrote that episode that I was in of jury duty that ended up being the episode they used for all the award shows. So very exciting. Very happy for all of them. They got so much exposure on that show. And I just shot an independent feature earlier this week, and I'm going to be shooting another new series, an episode in Mexico coming up later this month. Yeah. Oh, and I'm part of the Road Theater Company, and we're doing a Summer Playwrights Festival coming up, and I'm in a couple of those. And yeah, so there you go. Thank you, guys. Take care. Bye.
Yay, thank you so much, Amy. That was awesome to hear all the behind-the-scenes details of that, and really interesting to also hear that the casting was for Dorian Frankel, because that definitely shows that part was filmed in L.A. And not Pat Moran, which was the Baltimore lady. And then, yeah, congratulations on the series regular audition. It's very true that not everybody gets to go in person now. It's very rare. And when she said Radford, she's talking about CBS Radford, which we've mentioned quite a few times. But that's where Parks is initially shot. And but it is, so they met there, it sounds like, and then they went to the Van Nuys Courthouse, which is also, if you're a fan, where The Office was filmed. So that building is in there. And then, yeah, cool to hear about all the Pawnees being on the computer, but also Dean Holland telling her to just be nice. I talked about this last week, where I felt like she could have been like, mean, or like shooing her out the door and all that kind of stuff. And so like that direction was really great, because I think it really just showed like, Pawnee's just not special. I'm just trying to do my job, and I'm like not being mean about it. I'm just like trying to tell you there's 8 different Pawnees. Which one are you talking about? You know what I mean? Like the only way I can help you is to know which Pawnee, which was like such a heartbreaking moment. And I talked about it last week too. I love how she says Indiana, so like, and how it did cut off where she's like, Indiana. I just love her response to that. It's so good. Mm-hmm. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you so much for, sticking around for that long with all the voice memos. But now we're going to get into Soda Tax. And like I said, I'm just so grateful to everyone that sent in those voice memos. So Jenny Ann, Jessica, and Amy, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Also, I think I talked about this last week too, but I wonder if they like said her name, Amy, and like the fact that her name is the same name as Amy Poehler, like if that was confusing on set at all. That's kind of funny to me. All right, so finally, we are here. Season 5, episode 2, Soda Tax. I feel like this is an episode where the name draws an image. Like, you don't even need to watch it to remember what exactly goes on in this season or in this episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so amazing. This was written by Norm Hiscock, who we know and love, a huge crew member of Parks. This was directed by Kyle Newacek, who is a producer, writer, and director for Workaholics. And he was one of the creators of Workaholics. And so that was really cool to... This is a new director alert for Parks because he's never directed Parks. So this is his first time, and I believe only time directing. But he also has directed a bunch of Workaholics, like I said, and created it also. He also works on Community. He directed Childish Gambino, a.k.a. Donald Glover from Community, on his music video, which is kind of fun. He also directed Game Over Man, which is with all of the stars of Workaholics, and was written with 2 of them, or by 2 of them. So I think that's really interesting. So we've got a Workaholics crossover now.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm ready for a summary whenever.
Perfect. So Leslie is working on her first bill as a city councilwoman, but gets a lot of backlash. Ben struggles with the interns and April on his campaign, and Andy starts preparing for his physical exam to become a police officer with the help of Tom and Chris.
Yay! Oh my gosh, we have a lot of stories going on, I feel, in this episode.
Yes. A lot of back and forth.
Yes, a lot of back and forth. The topic of debate in this episode is based on a real thing. It's called the sugary drinks portion cap rule, which was proposed by Mayor Bloomberg in New York City. It actually never passed due to opposition, but it is based on something real. So I thought that was interesting.
Wow. Okay, cool. Yeah. Very cool.
So it starts off with Andy and Leslie sending some care packages to Ben and April. And this is hilarious because I feel like it really shows both of their relationships so well.
Yes. Yeah, I have my care package theory with this. Okay. My theory is that Leslie obviously was going to send one to Ben, but not wanting April to feel left out and also wanting to kind of bond with Andy, she brings him in on the idea.
Oh, fun.
However, she doesn't monitor what he's putting in until the end. And so she's the reason the 3-legged dog stuffed animals in there. Otherwise, it would have just been the underwear is my thought process.
Oh my gosh. That is so cute. I love that.
So anyway.
Yeah, that is cute. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she totally sent it too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. Oh, he didn't go to the post office? No.
Yeah. 100%.
She was already sending 12 boxes, Holly.
I know,
What's
dude.
one more?
Exactly. Oh my God. Also, did you notice that this waffle mix is in like a can? It just looks like a whipped
it looks
cream
like whipped cream
thing.
Yeah,
And
very
I
weird.
looked it up, and it is real. There are waffle mixes that are called like shake and pour, but they are not in a whipped cream can. They so I'm just wondering if Props repurposed this because it was only going to be shown for a couple seconds anyways.
The amount of canisters of whipped cream in this show, they probably just repurposed.
Right, exactly. But also I noticed, and I don't think I've ever noticed this before, but there at the end when April is like pulling out everything, there's a Ben has a Batman comic that is like tied up with a bow. I thought that was cute. That Amy sent her, or Leslie sent him. So that's fun.
Love it.
Ben gets like 12 boxes though, and April just gets dirty laundry with a picture, which, oh my gosh, that bandana underwear picture is like so hilarious and such a funny thing that they put in there. April, and the fact that April loves it, this is such a funny Aubrey Plaza moment, is so funny.
Yeah. Well, but it's just this awesome like April and Andy moment of like, it doesn't look normal to us, but they're so in love. Like the fact that this brings her joy is so wonderful. I love that Amy, of course, Leslie puts in a wonderful, like a very nice card, a very pretty store-bought card. And it's like notebook paper that Andy writes on.
Yeah,
like,
that is cute.
So very, the juxtaposition between those two again. And then around 16 seconds, it looks like April almost breaks.
Really?
So I wonder if she didn't know it was going to be in the box. Because it's not, she's not the center of attention in that shot. It's Ben. He has a line.
Oh, sure.
But she's like, she just opened the box and it looks like she's about to laugh.
That is hilarious. Oh my God. All right. Well, Leslie and Anne are now preparing to put a tax on soda, hence the name of the episode, Soda Tax. And Anne is saying that Leslie's tax would definitely lower diabetes. And I love that that they get to work together here and solve problems together and I just really love that partnership that it's showing.
Mm-hmm. Same here. A great great little team.
Yeah,
You know.
totally.
I feel like it's like us when we decided to do this. It's like, hey, our friendship is now going to become a job too, and I love it.
Yeah, well, and they're in the same office building too, so they can like,
Mhm.
you know, go back and forth with their ideas and stuff, which is really cute. I love that.
Yeah.
Also, I love that Anne brings out a prop of how much sugar the average 10-year-old in Pawnee eats per month in
That's
soda.
disgusting.
Per month? That thing is massive.
Just in soda.
Oh my God. Like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
That seemed insane.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've become very like, so we weren't really allowed to drink soda growing up. Like we didn't have it in the house. Didn't, it was like a very rare, like, oh, we're out to dinner, you can get a soda type situation.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm like, as a kid, you're like, why? Like, why are you taking good things from me? And as an adult, I looked at that and I was like, thank God.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
my mom was astringent about that stuff.
All the cavities and stuff, probably
so
too.
Gross.
But I
Yeah.
will say, I don't know what it is, but here lately, I love a Coke. I don't know what it is, but it is so refreshing. And I would, I've been on a budget recently because I'm trying to pay off my unemployment debts. And I was at the grocery store and I saw that a whole case of Coke Zero was $8 as opposed to like the $20 cans or cases of alcohol, like spritzer or seltzers, whatever the hell. And I was like, honestly, this gives me the same rush and I'm not out of my mind. I know this isn't necessarily, quote, healthier, but oh my God, it is so refreshing in the summertime. Oh my. I don't know if it's just getting older, what it is, but there is nothing to me like cracking open a fresh can of Coke Zero.
Yeah. And I like Coke Zero, honestly.
Yeah, I do too.
It's good. Dr. Pepper has one too, which actually tastes almost exactly like Dr. Pepper. It's really good.
Interesting. Like a Dr. Pepper Zero, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Love that. Which is a nice juxtaposition with what we'll hear about Water Zero, which is hilarious.
Yes, which I'm excited about. So I have a question. What do you think about this tax? Are you with the people or are you with Leslie? Should the government be able to tax? And are we taxing the consumer or the restaurant?
Oh, great question. I think it's taxing the consumer. I think that there's just going to be an extra tax when you purchase it. I don't know. I'm okay with it.
Which I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but this woman, I'm going to forget her name now.
Pinewood?
Yes, thank you. Catherine Pinewood. She's like making it sound like they're taxing the restaurant because, well, the restaurants are going to suffer, so they're going to have to lay people off.
Yeah.
But the thing is if people really want soda, they're not going to stop buying soda because it's an extra $1 more.
Right. 100%.
So I don't think it's really going to make the impact. She's just making it, seem way more awful than it is.
Yeah. Well, and typically when people are taxed, that means that like for those kinds of things, as far as I know, and political people / government people, please correct me if I'm wrong or like help explain this a little bit more. But because the consumer is taxed, they're saying that they will no longer get that business. Therefore, the business no longer has the money to pay the people. That's why I was thinking it's the consumer. Pay the employees,
right.
I should say. So that's why I think it's a consumer tax because people stop buying stuff when they're taxed so heavily on it, hence why people move to Florida all the time after they retire. So I don't know, but it could be taxed on like wholesale stuff too. But regardless, yeah, they're saying that people are going to be laid off for that. And yeah, for me, I think that's a great point. I think like putting taxes or criminalizing something that isn't necessarily like terrible isn't going to stop people from doing it. So I don't know. I'm not mad about it. At the end of the day, I feel like it's for the benefit of the citizen, so, especially if it's that much sugar. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. But I see what Ron's saying. Like, this is a free country. We should be able to, taxes shouldn't be a thing. Like, I get it. But also, like, this isn't a big deal to me. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
I don't feel emotionally drawn either way.
Yeah.
Probably because I don't really drink it very often.
Mm-hmm.
But I am kind of leaning more towards the Ron side of like, why is this like, I feel like it's, if you're going to make the decision to drink the unhealthy stuff, like you have to deal with the repercussions of what that's going to do. But I also understand where Leslie's coming from. She's trying to prevent people from being unhealthy.
Yeah.
So,
well, and it also, I mean, I feel like the tax thing is going to boost the economy, and maybe I'm just being like, I don't know, from what I've seen in this day and age too, like I feel like it'll only benefit people as well, and that's part of this whole libertarian thing that doesn't really make sense to me, doesn't compute to me personally. Is, you know, the government is meant to help you, and that those taxes can go to other things. Obviously tax, like if it's like insane taxes, I'm not saying that all taxes is the most amazing thing ever, okay, like let's not go that far, but you know, for example, here, and I know this is different, but here people didn't want public transportation because they said it was going to raise their taxes, and people were just so uneducated about what the actual tax was going towards. And I'm sorry, I would love public transportation. Like, it will go towards infrastructure and boost like people moving here. And I just like, people think they just don't, they're like Ron, and they don't like change, and they just want to sit in their little circle and be isolated and not think about what this is actually doing for the people. You know what I mean? And that's what Leslie goes up against in this city council race. And I think this is the first thing that she's had to do, which we'll get to, her talking about that, like with the city council. But I just feel like that's something that every politician and every person like trying to fight for the right thing is always going up against. Of like, I'm trying to take care of you actually, like, but you won't let me.
Yeah, that's real.
So anyhow, but yeah, all that aside, Leslie starts eating the sugar, and I love that line of, what did you put in the sugar? It's so good.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, I know this was a sign of the times, but I don't love that big people are showing drinking these sodas. It's a shaming tactic, and I hate it. It was used all the time on the news and stuff. It still is to this day. But I just think it should be mentioned, like, as someone in a person or in a bigger body, like, it's not the bigger body that is always the like the least healthy, okay?
Yeah, that's 100% right.
But it's the visual that gets people scared and that gets people ashamed, and I hate it. So, anyways, moving on. I do love Leslie's line about Sue's salads, that thing of like, until we ran that out of town.
Yeah.
Because Slop Trough is now the new Sue's Salads, because Sue's Salads
I would never want to eat at a place called that.
I know. That's a really fun little like Pawnee history moment, though. I don't think it's just a throwaway kind of line, but it's interesting to know that that's what it was. Also, I think this goes back to, we talked about this like many seasons ago, but how it always, like, Pawnee is always mentioned as like these like huge people are all around, but we never actually see really huge people like on the show. And I think that's really kind of, you know, just a weird juxtaposition, I guess, or opposition, if you will. And also kind of makes me think about Hollywood. Like, we're not going to have like big people. I guess Donna and Jerry are like representing us bigger bodies, but like, they're not unhealthy. Well, Jerry is, but they're not like, you know what I mean? So anyways, Ron got a number 2 from Paunch Burger. I love that Anne line. Number 2 is right. A poached egg? What the hell? Oh my gosh.
That all sounds gross to me.
At a fast food restaurant, a poached egg? Come on.
Ugh.
Ugh. But Leslie has an emotional moment with Ron, and I love this. I just love, and there's something I need to say to you. Like her choking up. It's so cute.
It is. And when she's done, like, Ron smiles at her, you know?
Yeah, I like that too. Instead of feeling like, because I feel like season 1 Ron would have like still kept his scowl face, you know? I love this relationship too. It actually reminded me in this instance in particular, when she gets to city council and starts making laws that are trying to benefit, but then people are mad at her for trying to benefit the people. It really reminds me of the Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Antonin Scalia, which if you guys like know anything about Ginsburg, or even if you don't, like, that was one of the things that was really well known, is that they were serving on the Supreme Court together, but they had completely opposite ideas, but they still shared in like art and stuff, and they always went to opera shows and theater shows and things like that. I thought that was really interesting.
I think they had family dinners.
Yeah, maybe so. I didn't read about that, but yeah, that sounds right. I feel like they were really close friends. And I just like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg is just like such a better person than me. I really struggle with that sometimes, not agreeing with people on such an opposite side of like what, I don't know, how people live their lives. It's hard.
It's just being able to live outside of those conversations. You know, like my mom and one of our best family friends, they don't agree on almost anything. Yeah. And occasionally it'll come up when it's like a smaller group of us at dinner or whatever, and they'll go at it and we're all just sitting here like, okay. But for the most part, they go on trips together. They international trips, like flights and all that stuff together, and they can survive it because they're like, the friendship comes first, and we're never going to see eye to eye on this. We both have two different thoughts and views. So if we don't talk about it that often, like then we're okay.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's really hard for me because a lot of the people like that, I feel like when it comes to me, like it's when I know that you're voting for something that could potentially destroy my life or could potentially destroy my friends' lives. Like, I know my mom has friends like that, and she has to kind of because she's surrounded by those people. But she has people that like, you know, would vote against LGBTQ marriage. And that doesn't sit right with me. Or they would rather me die than get an abortion. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really hard when you actually think about it, especially nowadays. Like, you know, I don't know. It's really hard. So that's where I draw the line. If you like, I guess, let me live my life, then that's something different. But if you actively vote against me, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, it is hard.
But
absolutely.
I know they're not like terrible people, but yeah, that's something I struggle with. I'm trying. So we'll see. Yeah. Some people don't want to try, but I am trying.
That's real.
Anyways, Ben comes out and says that the reports are like 1 million different fonts at the DC office, and this is so micromanagey. I actually do hate this. Like, let's be serious. Like that's
you hate what Ben's saying, or you hate
about the font
thing. Okay.
Yeah, I think that he, as a boss, is being really micromanagey, and this is like kind of annoying. Like, send an email out about it, kind of thing. But he is the boss at the end of the day, and he gets to do that. Whatever. However, obviously, that does not entitle April to be a jerk and a brat about this.
Absolutely. So I get where he's coming from with, because there's some fonts you look at and you're like, that's not a professional font.
Yeah, totally.
That's, you know, like Comic Sans.
Totally.
Or Papyrus.
Yeah,
Papyrus is a good call out.
No place for that in a professional setting.
It's real. It's real. Papyrus is the font of Avatar, the Blue People movie.
Yeah.
SNL has a really funny sketch about it.
Really?
Like, yes, you should look it up. I think it's Ryan Gosling or Jake Gyllenhaal, one of them that does it, or is in it. I can't remember for sure, but it's great. Because I also agree. I don't think Papyrus deserves to be in a work setting, but I don't care if somebody's using Arial versus Times New Roman versus this or this, but like, don't use the ones that look like they're handwritten or like the cursive ones. It's like, no one can read that shit.
Right.
Like, so part of me agrees, like, with what Ben's saying, and part of me is like, yes, this could have been an email.
Right. Yeah,
but
totally.
I also love his
confidence.
Right. No, it doesn't need to be a meeting. I love his confidence though, because we see him fluctuate in this episode.
Yeah.
Because he like says good meeting, and like he's already walking back in his office when he says that. Right. And I just love that, like, I'm running the show here. Confidence, because we don't always see that with him. So it's like he's found his little groove here that's just about to be fucked up. But
yeah. I feel like it's great that we've seen him be confident in Leslie's campaign, but it is nice to see him doing that in another campaign too.
Oh yeah, and a bigger scale, right? Like he's moved to Washington D.C. and he's carrying this confidence with him.
Yeah. And I will say on the font note, oh my God, this is like kind of random, but it actually circles in perfectly with what we're talking about though. I made a video about this. This is like so insane and stupid, but I found a font on Microsoft Office called Aptos Display. Oh my God. It is such a mixture of professionalism yet fun. That's not quite Comic Sans, not quite Papyrus for sure, but it's like got kind of like a curve to it. Oh my God. I was like, this is what the corporate world has done to me.
Okay. What's the font called? I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. It's called Aptos, Aptos Display. And it is my new favorite font because it's not. Calibri is like a lot of Microsoft Office's default font, and I don't like it. It's so boring. It was great at first because it's not quite like Times New Roman, but
I like it.
oh my God. But it's also not quite as squiggly as some of the other really rounded ones. I feel like it's professional yet casual.
This is what we've become, people.
I know.
Now that we're both in the corporate world, and
oh my God, I love it.
This is what interests us. I'm here for it. Okay.
Well, especially when you're sending like boring ass emails sometimes, it's like I'd love to have a little bit more of
Let's
a personal
liven this
touch.
up a little bit.
Yeah. So you guys check it out. Love that. And I will say, yes, okay, I get sort of kind of Ben's vibe here because college interns sometimes are stupid and you do have to be really on top of them. So like I do get that part. And I also will say like, okay, like I was saying earlier, like, you know, Ben's the boss, whatever, he can do this. So if he wants to have a meeting, fine. But don't talk about the last like adding on part where he said, yeah, and 12 point, make sure the content is perfect too. That part, I was like, okay, are we done? Are you good, sir? You know? But yeah. Okay. So now Tom and Chris are helping Andy to train to be a police officer. I love these butt clenches and how serious they are to him. It's a great way to show that he's getting there, quote unquote, for him. I love that.
Oh, boy.
I mean, glutes do have to be strong, so he's not all wrong.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. That's
also,
real.
it's kind of hilarious, like a nice little, thing that Pratt is now super fit and Marvel sculpted, and he was not before, which is funny.
I know. It's hilarious to me that they explain it as him just not drinking beer.
I know. It's actually so good.
Yeah.
2 miles in under 25 minutes. I love that line. That's humanly impossible, right? Agreed.
Which is, yeah, that's so funny. Which it's not.
It's not. People do it all the time.
There are people who run 4-minute miles.
Okay, that seems insane.
Yeah, for
That's
multiple
where I draw the
miles,
line.
not just one.
No, I will not be doing that.
Which is
ever.
funny because Ivan actually had Chris Pratt's line because Natalie's family, they're runners.
Oh, okay.
And he's like, yeah, nobody can do that. She's like, my kids can. Like, no, that's not possible.
That's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God. When Tom shouts the anything is possible, he is actually imitating NBA player Kevin Garnett from an interview about winning the championship, which is hilarious. I think that's a fun touch.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
And then now we've got Leslie and Anne meeting with Catherine Pinewood from the Pawnee Restaurant Association. Also, it's kind of funny because I never really realized that she was from the Pawnee Restaurant Association. I always thought that she was just from Sweetums. Like, really? Or not Sweetums. Yeah. Sorry. Paunchburger. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she works with Jam later for the Paunchburger. Right.
So she just wants all the sugar and all the money from the unhealthy things, which, like, that makes sense. I see her character now. Okay. Love that.
Yeah, it's coming together.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is insane. Because she is kind of a spokesperson here for... But here's the thing. Sweetums is on the cup. But is this Paunchburger's cup? Or is it Sweetums is in charge of all the soda? Kind of like we have Coke and Pepsi. Like is Sweetums in charge of all the soda? So this is the sizes they're trying to roll out to every restaurant.
Interesting. I thought it was... Yeah, maybe it is to every restaurant. Because I think it is for every restaurant. So it must be.
Yeah. Because I initially thought it was Paunchburger every time I've watched this episode until I caught the restaurant part of her position.
Yeah, because I mean, that would make sense because at the Citizen Town Hall, the guy from Slop Trough, I think, or whatever restaurant it is, says that he's going to lose his job. So it must be for all of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think it's also because Ron comes in with that. Doesn't he come in with that's where he got the number 2, right? Was the Paunchburger. So maybe that's why that we thought
but the cup, right. But the cup doesn't say Paunchburger on it.
Right.
It's one of the Sweetums cups.
So those cups must just be in all of the restaurants.
Yeah.
All the fast food restaurants anyways. And it's also funny.
No reason they're rich. Sweetums.
Yeah. Yep. I think it's funny that they have nameplate, like paper things in front of each of them.
Their meeting.
When it's just like 4 people and it's really only 3 that are talking. I was like, this is kind of funny and a weird touch, but that makes sense, I guess, for like a conference meeting.
I bet Leslie did it because she wanted it to feel official with it being her first.
Yeah, maybe.
Like lead thing.
Yeah. And they're showing the sizes and the names. Oh my God, these are so funny. The name of the smaller option is so funny. Amazing writing. Little Swallow. Oh my God.
Swallow.
But for a nickel, you can get a full 64 ounces instead. And some girls use them for their
That's so
dollhouses.
much. I'm pretty sure 64 ounces is a half gallon.
I mean, maybe because the double of that is the gallon. Remember, the next one's a gallon. So yeah. Oh my God.
Size of a small child if they were liquefied.
Yes. Oh my God.
Which, who did that research? Because gross.
I don't even know if there was research involved. It was probably just the thought.
You're right.
Oh my God. But before we get to the rest of the scene, I have to shout out Catherine Pinewood, who is played by Mary Faber. She comes back quite a few times on the show, which is so fun. And she did such a great job. I mean, she just came in fully formed, I feel, which was amazing. And she's been in a ton of stuff. And she's a stage actor. She's a Broadway actress, which is amazing. She was on Kate Monster, or she was Kate Monster in Avenue Q. I'm not exactly sure when, but she was. She was in Hairspray Live, which is awesome. Like a ton of musical theater stuff. She was also in the original cast of American Idiot on Broadway. How to Succeed in Business. Her and the script supervisor actually went to college together. His name is Greg Levine. And but she didn't know that. Like, this is all from Parks and Recollection that I got. She was talking about it on there. And apparently, you know, she had to audition like everybody else. But, you know, when you work on the show, you can recommend people to come in for auditions, but they still have to audition. You know what I mean? So I thought that was really interesting. And she does a lot of video game voiceovers, regular like movie voiceovers. She was in Boss Baby. She was also in Nurse Jackie. Like, she's done a ton of stuff. And she's going to be in Houston Broadway's version of Next to Normal as the lead role of Diana, which I am super excited. If I was in Houston, I would definitely go there. So if you're in Houston or in that area, please check it out. I'll tag her in the show notes and on our Instagram so you guys can follow her. But that's going to be amazing. I just think that Mary Faber did a lovely job playing Catherine Pinewood, and I'm excited to see that they gave her more.
Yeah, absolutely. And later she makes you hate her. She does such a good job.
Oh my God. Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh. But yeah, like we were talking about, the visuals are just brilliant. 128 ounces. Some people call it a gallon. Also, can you imagine? My visual was like walking around with this huge thing if you're going from, you know, or getting it through the drive-through.
There's no way that fits in your cup holder.
How you have to like carry it with your whole arms through the drive-through window and stick it in your car somewhere. Oh my God. I am just so funny to me.
Yeah.
Such a funny image.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
And then this is, where you were talking about.
Disgusting.
They have 512 ounces, which is called the child size because it's the size of a 2-year-old child if the child were liquefied. I also just love that she's being very reportery about it. She's just stating facts. They're not anything crazy to her. Come on. This is just a child.
This
size.
is just
Come
real.
on.
Yeah. Why are we surprised by this?
Right. I also love but everyone should buy it. Like when she looks to the camera and is like, it's not my place to speak for the consumer, but everyone should buy it. I love that.
Yeah.
That was really good. And then this image
Very
of
good.
Amy Poehler putting the child-sized cup on her head is what I imagine when I think of this episode.
Yes.
It's
Same.
so good.
I love it.
And then when
Good
she kind of puts
acting all
her
around.
like face down, like her hand is on the cup. It's so funny to me. Okay. So now we are back to or no, wait, where are we actually? Oh, Catherine Pinewood's looked to
Andy.
camera. But I was gonna say too, I could buy that 512 ounce or the child size thing. Like I was talking about the Coke Zero pack. I could probably buy that 512 ounce thing for cheap and use that for my like month of soda.
It's going to be so stale on the third day.
That's true. Fair.
Unless you bottle it when you get it home.
Yeah, that's fair. That's true. Anyways, okay, so now we are at Andy training, and we're talking about the golf cart. Also, side note, is there with Tom, and it's so futuristic looking. First of all, this is like I've never seen a golf cart look like this. Have you?
No.
Yeah. Very strange. And I was curious. I was like, how did Tom even get this golf cart? Like, whose is this? Did he buy this? I could totally see him going bankrupt for that, I guess. But in the deleted scenes, there's an answer. I will play it for you right now.
I don't really care about motivating. I'm better at tearing people down. But Chris is letting me drive the City Hall golf cart. Only 3 people in Pawnee have access to it. The mayor, the city manager, and for the next week, shaboy, Tom Haverford.
Anyways, that's how he got the golf
That was
cart.
my guess, was that it was a government-issued golf cart.
Really? Okay. I didn't even think about it. I was like, Tom just bought this and went into debt because he's pimping it out.
Well, I know that remember Andy Samberg has one when he is the park ranger. So
yeah,
I
but it looks so
that,
different.
Yeah, it looks much nicer. So it makes sense that only the mayor and the city manager have access to it.
That's true.
But yeah, I figured it would be property of the government.
Yeah.
But why they're able to use it for this, I don't know. And I have a note in here that I'm like, Tom is literally here only for the golf cart.
Yeah,
because
100%.
they're having a serious conversation, and he's like, I'm gonna do a lap.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, bro.
Right. I think that Andy here speaks for everyone who has ever like run before that hasn't really, or that has starting out running, but even some runners, I would say, think about this too. Like taking off all his clothes, just like laying down. It's so hot. I can't do it. It's too hard.
Yeah. I love it. To me, I was like, this is like what a toddler does when they get home and they don't like wearing clothes. They just take all their clothes off. Well, especially like Indiana. I don't know if LA is like this, but Indiana, like Midwest, is humid. Like, and I think this is summertime based on, when the episode came out and all that. And it's so humid. Whenever I would train, I would like wear the least amount of clothing I could as possible that was appropriate to be out on the trail. Because everything just sticks to you.
Yeah.
Before you even start running.
Yeah, totally. And I mean, heat is dangerous. It can be really dangerous, like heat stroke and dehydration and all that kind of stuff. Like you really have to watch yourself.
Mm-hmm. It's
crazy.
very true. Yeah.
I also think of Anne's line in this too, when like a while back when they're having their postmortem of Anne and Chris's relationship, and Anne is like, I know it keeps you healthy, but God, at what cost?
Yeah.
About running. That's how I feel too. I do love this line. That I think this is my favorite line of the episode, where he says, I'm never going to be a cop. I'm going to have to be a robber.
I love that line. It's also written down as one of my favorites.
It's so smart.
Like, those are the 2 options.
Oh my God. It's so good.
I love it.
And then Chris says he's proud of himself too, which I'm like, Chris, but it is kind of funny at the same time. But Andy, it's funnier when Andy says like, thanks man, me too.
Yeah. That's what I have written down too.
This is a great Pratt episode.
Oh, it is. It's so great. I have, are we coming out of our whiny Chris era is what I have. Because even though that wasn't the greatest response, it's not really about him. He's not really like being whiny. He's how can I delegate this energy to helping Andy?
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah, we are coming out of it. But it doesn't really get out of it until the end of the episode. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and even then we have some episodes still that we
he
have
has to work
Chris
through some shit.
He does. But I really love the ending of this episode because when we get there, I'll say the things.
I do
but
too.
yeah, I think we've got the beginnings here.
Yes, totally. Okay, so now we're back at the campaign office, and intern Ellis is being such quintessential douchebag frat bro, finance, political brother fellow, and Ben asks him like about the website, and he started doing them, but then he's not gonna finish them, and then he just like leaves like that.
Yeah, with no answer.
Honestly, yeah, totally. He's just
I'm
like,
mad.
later. I feel like cringy for me. Like I can never imagine doing that. Oh my God, I would lose my effing mind before I did that.
Yeah, no, it's insane to me that this is how, and even when you learn about their connections with the other politicians, it's like, no, like you don't get to act like that.
Yeah, but
It's
they've
so
been able
stupid.
to the whole life. So it's just
That's a parenting issue.
It's privilege. It's just privilege.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
But some people have privilege. Some people grow up being relatively privileged.
Yeah.
And if they're parented correctly, they don't have this chip on their this like high and mighty
it's a hit or miss. That's
thing to
always
you.
such a nature versus nurture thing. You never know. You just never know, because you can do all that you can do as a parent sometimes and it doesn't work out. So I don't know. But this in particular, woof, tough stuff. So I really love how April comes back to him at the end of the episode. That's great. But that's just so embarrassing. And this actor played it so perfect. Like, he was so good. He not only looks the part, but he like speaks the part too. It was really good. This actor's name is Pete Plosek. Or Ploshek, maybe? It sounds, I don't know. I'm sorry. It's Ploszek. Which is funny because in his bio, it says that he played football at Princeton. And I was like, oh my God, this is so him.
It's amazing.
But I'm sure he's not like this in real life. Pete, if you're listening, I'm sure you're not like this in real life. At least I hope that you're not. Because then he got an MFA at USC, School of Dramatic Arts. So, you know, he's definitely looking and playing the role, like I said. But he's been in so many well-known things. He plays Leonardo in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like, I don't think it was the most recent one, or maybe it was. I can't remember. But he in one of them. And he was also in Babylon and Captain Marvel as Brett Johnson. He was, which I would need to watch that movie again, to be honest with you, to figure out which character that was. But he was also in Teen Wolf, and he's got a lot of upcoming projects as well. He was also just recently added to the cast of You, the show You.
Ooh, okay.
And he was recently in a play called Lavender Men in LA at the Skylight Theater, and by recently it was 2022, so 2 years ago. But this, I have to read the synopsis. It's so interesting to me. This play reimagines one of America's most beloved historical icons, President Abraham Lincoln, through a queer person of color's storytelling lens. That's so interesting. I don't know what that means, but it got a lot of great rave reviews, and I would have loved to see it. So I don't know if they're going to do it again or what, but the pictures looked great.
That's awesome.
So anyways, yeah, good job, Pete. Okay, so Ben walks by the conference room now and sees this picture of him, which is awful. Hate this. April says he thinks that he looks good, and Ben is trying to figure out who did it, asking her who did it. And I do like. Okay, I will say if I didn't know that that April did this. Spoiler alert. But if I didn't know that, I would say like, this thing about her saying, you know, you could stand to loosen up a little bit, like, I would be like, okay, that's good. Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. You can loosen up, like, whatever. But now that you know that as you're watching this that she did it, oh my God, it makes it so much worse.
It's like this whole, the whole Donna thing later when she just leaves a bad review on Yelp.
Yeah.
For the animal center because Donna left to go shopping.
Yeah.
It kind of rings that for me.
Yeah.
Where she's doing the backwards thing of not confronting him.
Yeah.
About it. Whereas his friend, right? Because he comes out later and he's like, no, she wouldn't do that. She's my friend.
Oh, heartbreaking.
Like,
when he
heartbreaking. And it's like she could have gone to him and said, hey man, like, I know that they're not doing exactly what you want them to do, but they're interns. And you got to loosen up a little bit or they're not going to have respect for you, you know? Like, because she was once an intern.
Totally.
Like, he's going to respect her opinion, but now she's just kind of, you know, jading it. It's so sad. I really am not an April fan in this episode for this purpose.
It is tough stuff for her to come back from.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were just getting there. We were just seeing her, like, be more professional. And, like, now she's just kind of sliding backwards, which I know they kind of sort of redeem it at the end, but not really. I don't know.
No, it's gonna take some time. If I was Ben, it would take me a little bit of time to feel like she was back on my side, you know?
Yeah. Okay, so this is where Ben calls Jen to try to fire the interns, and this is where we find out that everyone is related or connected to something politically, like inside baseball kind of vibes, except for it's inside politicians. And it's also random, the connections. I love that line of somebody's related to senators or politicians dentist or something like that. I was like, oh my God, they're not even related to the person, they just know somebody who knows somebody. Oh my God, crazy.
Yeah, I don't think that I know that it's never going to change. This is always going to be how life works. It works at every level this way, right? Like, getting a job is easier if you know someone on the inside, like all that kind of stuff. But sometimes it's kind of crappy.
I know. It's a tricky balance. Ugh.
Yeah.
Well, now we're back at the Restaurant Association learning about Water Zero, which has sugar, which is
300 calories per serving.
And calories. Oh my God. So crazy.
So zero water.
Zero water. Yes. I don't feel like this has changed I think this is such a good commentary. Like, I feel like today is the same way where like the label is so deceiving. You know what I mean? And so many things have sugar. Everything has sugar. I think I was talking to you about this like a long time ago. Well, not a long time ago, but like probably last year, I think. My mom was trying to get her A1C down because she was like pre-diabetic or whatever. I don't think she would mind me saying that because a lot of people are. A lot of people deal with that. And she was so good about it. And every time she went to the grocery store, we were like looking at labels and I was trying to do it with her. And like so many things have sugar, like so much sugar that you wouldn't think have so much sugar in it. And I was like, I get if there's some sugar. Like I get, well, it's, you know, just whatever. But some stuff has like 50 grams of sugar that you're like, oh shit, I did not realize. Well, like added
and a lot
sugar.
of it's, that's what I was going to say. A lot of it's added sugar. Like if something has sugar in it, but it's not added sugar, like usually that's natural. Like, and that's fine. Right? Like, but it's the added sugar that gets you.
Yeah. Like my thing and I know this sounds like you would think you know this, but when I was doing it, granola bars were the thing that shocked me the most. Like to find a granola bar with like less than 30 grams of added sugar, I was like, this is really hard, you know? That's crazy.
Yeah.
But anyway, so 300 calories per serving and water 0. 0 is the amount of water in it, which this made me laugh out loud though. If you want 0 calorie water, try Diet Water Zero Light, which has 60 calories. Which is like the opposite of what she just said. 60 calories does not mean 0 calories.
Right.
Oh my God. And then, this is where she says that if Leslie's bill passes, local restaurants will have to lay off about 100 people. And she shows her a press release that sends Leslie spiraling out of control. And I love that she uses a little swallow cup to try to get the sugar.
Yeah. She's going to it like it's booze.
Totally. Oh my God. We don't know if she's bluffing or not. And that's the part that's scary because she's like, you're bluffing. Are you bluffing? Woof. Okay. There is a deleted scene also that explains kind of like why she has a public forum, which we don't really need this deleted scene, which I think is like why they cut it, obviously for time reasons too. But she, later in the episode, we talk about like, well, if I was doing park stuff, I would know what to do, but everything's upside down. And she has this conversation with Anne in the deleted scene and Anne is like, well, what would you do if this was a parks department thing? And I really loved that Anne was kind of like helping her and giving her advice and advising and stuff. And Leslie was like, well, if I was in the parks department, I would have a public forum. And then so that's why they decided to do this, which I think is really cute. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, Colonel Plump's. That's what the other restaurant is.
Oh gosh.
Because we're at the public forum and one of the citizens says he works at one of the restaurants, which is Colonel Plump's, and he's asking about layoffs and he's mean and saying, get off your high horse and help me keep my job. And that was a really rough start to this forum.
Yeah.
So this actor's name is Roderick McCarthy, and he has been in Lucifer, NCIS, Scandal, General Hospital. He's also a writer and producer. And he was born in St. Louis, and which love a St. Louis moment. Side note, his character is Roger, which I love that. And I did talk to him via Instagram. He is actually starting a new business right now, so he is very busy. But I hope I'm going to keep following up with him. But he said he'd be interested in sending in a voice memo. So I do hope that I get to hear from him. But yeah, I asked him to send me his business information so that we can post it in the show notes as well, and try to promote it a little bit. But yeah, he did a great job. And he'll come back at the end of the scene, which is even scarier.
Yeah. It makes it real, right? Like it's putting Pinewood's threat in the hands of a person it could actually impact, which we know is going to tug on Leslie's heartstrings a little bit.
Yeah, I know. So then there's another townsperson, which is freaking hilarious, who says she wants the soda tax because her husband has gained a lot of weight and they also don't have sex.
Consequently, they haven't had sex in 10 years.
Right.
Doesn't
we have
up,
a lot
of
that's
okay. Yeah.
Oh my God.
The pill bottle lady, Holly.
What's that?
The pill bottle lady.
I know.
He's like, there's a lot of pill bottles in here. She's so good.
Yeah.
Her face.
She's like, oh my God, hilarious. I think all these people did a really good job in here. This was such a good townsperson moment. let's see, the character's name who talked about her husband gaining weight and stuff. Her character name is Dee Dee, which I think that it's fun that they give each character a name. And the actor's name is Courtney Cook. She's been in Grey's Anatomy, the most recent American Crime Story, which I believe is the Monica Lewinsky one. A bunch of shorts. She has written and produced a bunch of those too. A bunch of commercials as well. So go, Courtney. And yeah, 100 pounds in 3 months. That feels like really like scary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a lot.
Fast.
And yeah, so quickly. Yes. And so this next townsperson is a dude that says all taxation is theft and he can just steal a purse if that's the case. I love this too. Like you said, the pill bottle lady. This character's name is Grover. And I love that, Leslie knows this guy's name, his first name of like, Grover, give that lady her purse back. But this character is played by Bobby Reed. That's the actor's name. I love his IMDb bio. I have to read it. Also, we got a voice memo from him, which is so exciting. Yay. But I have to read his IMDb bio first because it's really hilarious to me. Well, and by hilarious, I mean like I think he writes it with the sense of humor, but not that it's like, you know, weird or anything like that. But he wrote, Bobby Reed is a lifer. In show business, performing since 1965, he's managed to squeeze in 100 plays in London, New York, Los Angeles, and Nashville. 150 plus movies, 25 plus television shows, and now the new frontier, the internet, with scores of web series and pilots currently running all over that web. It's been a magical blast, of course, and Bobby is so grateful. Action, period. I thought that was nice.
Love it.
But he's been in Perry Mason, Grey's Anatomy, a bunch of short films, ton of upcoming projects as well. So we'll have to keep an eye out. But I'll play his voice memo. He was so nice to send me one.
Hi, Holly. This is Bobby Reed. Thanks for asking me to do this. I love Parks and Rec. I played Grover. And let's see, here are your questions. How did I get the jobs on Park and Rec? Yeah, it was an audition. Yes, it was Dorian Frankel. And strangely enough, I keep a spreadsheet. It was August 8th, 2012. I went into Dorian Frankel. I had been into her several times. And the episode was originally called City Councilor Knope. 502 was the episode, but they changed it to Soda Tax, as you know. So 2012, I read with her, and at the end of the script, she said, just keep going. Just keep riffing. So she liked riffing comedic actors. So that's what I did, is kept going, I remember, and she was very good and playful. I knew her because she had me in for other things over the years. So there we go with that with Grover. How did I get this? Yeah, it was from my manager, Brett Klopfer at the time. Yeah, the sides, CD room. Yeah, just Dorian did it with you. So that's what I remember. Very nice. Lovely woman. Put you immediately at ease. Number 2, do I remember where it was shot? The day, yes, CBS Radford. Exactly, that's where it was. That was the community room for that show. And it was very nice. It was a busy day, big day. Those community sets were full of nuts and bolts and lots of people and Amy Poehler and all those people. So I just remember a lot of chaos. Kyle Newacek was the director. Very young, tall, gigantic, skinny guy. And we played with the scene because, you know, television is written and it's all locked in and it's gone through multiple committees by the time it gets to shooting. And sure enough, he was playful. So first there was, if you know the episode, I find pills in the woman's purse and try to publicly humiliate her. And then he said, okay, let's find handcuffs. So we tried that. We shot that, and they ended up using the pill one, but he was open to ad-libbing on a television episode, which is not my experience. My experience is it's locked in and you don't change anything, but Kyle Newacek changed things. He was very young, too. Television people are sometimes older because they've been around, but he was a kid. Tall, tall, tall. All I remember is tall. So that's pretty much it. And in terms of like that show, I have not gotten more money from any other show than that show. That's the highest residuals I've ever gotten on a television show, and I've done several. That thing just pays and pays and pays because it's very popular. People love it. It goes on forever all over the world. And that's pretty much it. It was great. Lovely experience. One day, easy peasy, nothing to it. I had been in several times for it, never booked it, just like Well, Grey's Anatomy, the same thing. I was in for years before I booked it. So that's a word to the wise for people trying to be a Hollywood actor is you can go in for ages for something and not book it and not book it, and they like you, but they don't use you, and blah, 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 blah. And then eventually it comes into being. So thanks for having me on. I hope that was fun and helpful for people. And talk to you soon. Bye.
He's so funny. That's total. I love hearing the voice of that bio that I just read too. Like, can't you imagine him writing
absolutely. Yeah. His personality comes out in it for sure.
I love a spreadsheet moment, so I'm glad that he kept his spreadsheet of like where it was and all that kind of stuff. I also love that the actual episode could have been called City Council Nope, because that makes total sense. Like, this is her first thing that she's trying to do as a city councilor, so that makes a lot of sense to me. Mm-hmm. I love that he kept calling the director tall, but I also think it's interesting to be reminded that, yeah, not all TV shows do this. Like, can fuck around with like taking a bunch of different ideas and putting them in the fun run and improving and all that kind of stuff. So I love that. And I also love that you're getting paid, Bobby. That's great. I love that you're getting paid from this show. We should only be so lucky, hopefully.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's a very good reminder to stay patient and to just keep trying and keep doing the thing. It sounds like Bobby's doing the thing, you know? Okay. All right, so now we're at the community college track again. Thank you, Bobby, by the way, if I didn't say it before. That was amazing and so fun. So we're at the community college track again. Tom has really pimped his ride of the golf cart. Mad Men Bar.
I hope he paid for that.
I know.
And he didn't charge that to the government.
That is a great point, Maddie. He probably did, though.
Mm-hmm.
But maybe not. I mean, he's broke, so he seems to be in debt. Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's a funny jab almost at Fast and the Furious when I can't remember what
no one's gotten it yet.
Yeah.
When he says that.
Yeah. And yeah, it's just funny. I feel like it's similar to Fast and Furious, but no one has noticed is what he says about the racing stripe. And I was like, oh, that's, I don't know if that's
You're
an
also in a golf cart.
Yeah, exactly. So Chris wants to find out what motivates Andy, and it's April, doing things for April, being there for her. I think that is the sweetest thing ever for Andy to say. It's so sweet.
I love it.
I know. But this
I love
also,
that we're still seeing their relationship even when they're not together.
I
April
know.
and Andy.
Yeah, totally. Somehow even more, I think, almost, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, you know, distance makes the heart grow fond, I guess. But this part makes Chris break down because he has no inkling of what that's like and what Andy is talking about. But he really wants that. And so that's kind of the beginning of his breakdown almost. But I love that line. Like, I love April. She's all I think about. And it's so cute.
Yeah. I know. It's
Side
so
note,
precious.
he has his Bumbo Flex on.
Yeah.
Love
Yeah.
that.
Good stuff. He also gives us this backstory of his heart condition.
Yeah.
And it rationalizes him for me a little bit, right?
Totally.
Like how much effort he puts into working out. And like I have people in my life. I was once like cannot survive a day without going to the gym. Like, you know, you get it into your mindset and it becomes almost like an addiction.
Mm-hmm.
But like I never had a rational reason for him. And this kind of lays it out like this is why he freaks out when his body's a microchip and he, you know, his percentage of fat can't go up and all this stuff. Like it makes sense why he's so antsy about it.
Yeah, and I think it's a good reminder in this episode because we got that in the flu season episode, like he explained it a little bit, but I think we kind of forget about it, and so it's nice that
I forgot about it.
Yeah. I love this line also. Again, like I said, it's a great Andy episode where he's like, I'm going to go run until I puke. Yay.
Yay.
Oh my God. This is when Cringe Ben, cool guy Ben comes into the vibe. So icky, feels so wrong. What's up, my mail? Grab a slice of za.
Za, why?
Ew.
Pizza's already a short word.
I agree.
Disgusting.
And then he finds out that Ellis knows how to do or has played Ultimate Frisbee. So they're going to have an Ultimate Frisbee moment before work the next day. Also, they probably didn't do this on purpose, or maybe they did. But in my head, I was like, oh my God, Ben brought in pizza and didn't even mention calzones. This is how hard he's faking it.
Yeah.
You know?
What a great catch. I hope that was intentional.
Me too.
Also hate do it to it, my dudes.
What'd you say? Sorry.
Hate that. I hate do it to it, my dudes.
Oh my God.
Hate that.
I know all the male things that he's saying, like dudes, my male, brother, bro. I'm like, oh God. Oh. Adam Scott did a great job.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Yeah. So cringy.
This is so funny to see him do this though, because this is the part that I feel like we don't really see of Ben, is trying hard to fit in. Because since we've known him, he's been like, fuck it, I don't care if I'm on your side or if like you like me, I'm just trying to do my job. And this is the part of Ben that we're like, oh my God, you are wanting them to like you and you want to be in this circle, and that is so not what we've seen from him.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah. So anyways, back at the town hall, Scully is back, by the way, who is a writer of Parks and of Simpsons. He's amazing, huge comedy writer, just a reminder. And he says he doesn't pay his income tax, which, oh my gosh, they do this part so well. Like, I can't stand how good it is, showing us real people who would really react this way and don't make a lot of sense all the time. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Oh my God. And then the next townsperson is saying that they should tax all bad things, like racism and women's vaginas. Oh my God. So terrible. Oh, but when that doesn't go to plan, I just love that he has this whole posse with him. Like, then what the hell are we doing here? Like, come on, guys.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe people got up with him.
Yeah. They all came with him. They all had this plan together, this little club cult thing. And according to Greg Levine, who is the script supervisor of Parks, who has the Parks and Recollection podcast, he said that really made the writer's room laugh really hard when he was auditioning for this, because he was just so, actor, because he was just so nonchalant about it. Like, then what are we doing here? Because it seemed like a lot of people, I think, in the audition were trying to be like really serious with it, like, and kind of angry with it almost, it sounded like. But it was just like, he was just throwing it away, this actor, and it apparently just really made all the people in the writer's room laugh. So I love that, it got in the show.
Yeah, agree.
This actor's name is Lee DeBrew. I think that's how you pronounce his name, Broux. And he has worked for a very long time. He's been in a lot of things: RoboCop, Chinatown, NCIS Los Angeles. His last thing was in 2019, so I don't know if he took a break, or honestly, I kind of hope he's retired and living his best life, because he's been working a really long time. But knowing actors, he's probably still doing like commercials and theater probably and stuff like that. So, but anyways, so good job to you, sir. And then they do a straw poll, and it's very confusing because it seems so evenly split. And the first townsperson comes back, Roderick. Roderick is his actual name, the actor's name. He comes back to say to recall Leslie, and I hate this. Like, I'm literally watching, going, no, what? She just got elected.
I hate it.
And she worked so hard to get elected. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Also, like, this is so soon into her getting elected that they are doing the recall thing, and then that ends up coming back, or like, continuing. And I was like, wow, this is early.
It's I feel like the city council doesn't really do anything until she gets there.
Yeah, maybe.
And she's trying to make actual change.
Yeah.
And when you actually try to make change, there's going to be people on both sides.
Right.
And so I think people are just not used to that. And they're coming back. They're coming out swinging.
Well, and it breaks my heart, too, because I think it's worth noting that Leslie loves sugar. Okay? She is not taxing something that she hates. She is taxing something that she actually loves. This is like not easy for her to do. But this is the first time that I think she's really, like you said, trying to make change, take care of the townspeople, like give them a reason for why she was elected. And she's doing a town hall. She's trying to get everybody's like opinions too. It's not as if she's just like being a dictator here. Oh, it's so heartbreaking.
Yeah, but people just moved right to, they're upset. They're not going to think about the fact that she's giving them a voice or anything like that.
Totally. Oh my God. And for everyone to have that being said in front of everyone, for everyone to be cheering like along with this guy, that's
heartbreaking.
The crazy thing, because it's one thing to get like hate mail and stuff like that, but for everybody to just be like, yeah, let's do that, and cheering for her to be recalled. Oh my God, that is so embarrassing and like sad. Ugh, depressing. So anyhow, okay, poor Leslie. All right, now we're at the park, and I for the Ultimate Frisbee thing, I don't think I clocked that they were in front of the Washington Monument as the park, like when I've watched this in the past, so I'm glad I caught it this time, but I'm sure it's known. Also love the line, someone please tell me we Kodaked that moment. Gross. I like you said, though, I actually have a line written here where I was like, I feel like he's showing some of his stepbrother's character here, like kind of cringy, weird, like, but like not, but here it's like, I want to make everyone like me. In Step Brothers, it was more of like, I hate everyone kind of thing, and I'm better than everyone. Also, I wonder if when they throw the frisbee and he ducks, I wonder if that's an improv, because it looked so, like when he's like, whoa, it just looked so real in that moment.
Yeah. They probably just said play actual Ultimate Frisbee and we'll get some shots.
Yeah, totally.
Be in character.
Yeah. I also wonder if the Ben smacking Ellis's butt was scripted.
Ew.
I love he immediately says
he apologizes.
Right. Immediately. He's like, that was wrong, which is a good thing, I guess.
Oops, my bad.
Did you note that his shirt says disky business and not risky business? Oh my God. I thought it was so great. Parks is the best at word puns. It's the best.
They are.
And then his upside down backward hat, hilarious. Also, you played Ultimate in college too, right?
Once.
Oh, okay.
It was the day I met Ivan.
I know. I didn't know that they didn't have like a. So they didn't have a team. They were just like playing for fun.
No, it was Patriots Day, and as part of our BCF group, we were just like, let's go play Ultimate Frisbee in the park, and then we had a potluck. Gotcha. So it was just like a one-time activity, bonding activity.
Okay, gotcha. Did you notice that a lot of people were doing this type of stuff as far as like wearing their backwards hat, or no?
No. No, but I was the only girl that played. Everyone else was like April.
Oh, what? Okay.
Just chilling off to the side.
I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And you got a busted finger and a husband out of it.
Yeah. Well, my husband got the busted finger.
Oh, okay. Oops. I got that part wrong.
And a husband. Yes, I did.
Anyway, so now we are hyping up Andy, and he's saying, also side note, it's probably different if like there's a team. I wonder if all those like tropes and stereotypes of like the backwards hat and all that mess is, and like all that is because of a team. You know what I mean? Like, wonder if that's real. Anyway, moving on. Sorry. Okay, so we're hyping up Andy. He's saying he's running for April, but Chris has nothing to run for and basically does what Andy did at the beginning and falls to the ground. And it's very sad. And he's like, I need to get to a hospital immediately. It's very sad. But now we're back at the meeting, the town hall, and Anne tells Leslie that, oh, sorry, not the town hall, the actual vote of what's going to happen. And Anne tells Leslie that she looks weird, and Leslie says, so do you. And I think it's like weird to me, honestly, like when I'm watching this, because Anne is taken aback by that, like it's an insult, but she just said the same thing to Leslie.
Yeah.
Like, you, what? That's uneven.
Yeah. What?
But I get it. I mean, yeah. So Leslie shares that she couldn't sleep at all, so she went to Paunchburger at 5 a.m. for the gallon soda. Leslie.
Mixing all 6 sodas, which is disgusting. Oh. I used to do that as a kid if I couldn't decide if I wanted a root beer or Coke, or like Sprite and something else. There are certain sodas that it works. You can put Sprite in with like lemonade, or like Fanta, but like the dark sodas, trying to mix those.
Oh my God, awful.
And 6 of them. I never did more than 2 sodas.
Oh my God, and a whole gallon.
Disgusting.
And well, have you heard of and I mean, trigger warning a little bit, but have you heard the name of what that's called?
No.
When I was a kid, they used to call it the suicide.
Oh.
If you got all of the Cokes, like on in the fountain,
I can see that. Your heart probably is gonna explode.
Exactly, and you're gonna puke up your guts like Leslie does. But anyway, she has to pee really bad, and Anne figures it out because she says all these water images, which I think is also really a funny line.
Yeah.
And I love this writing here, like we just talked about. Leslie says she'll just do what her gut tells her in the moment when she is supposed to vote, and her gut basically tells her to throw up because that's what happens.
It answers for her, right? It's not healthy for you to drink that much soda.
Yep. Yeah, totally. I do love also, I have to do a shout out to the hair and makeup. I feel like Leslie looks so pale and sick, and like her lips are chapped and nasty, and they did a great job of that. And I also love that she goes into this British accent. Oh my God.
And like she tries to speak appropriately, like this very old English.
Exactly.
So it doesn't look like she just threw up.
Yeah.
I wonder if that was a Amy Poehler choice or if it was a direction.
I know. I wonder that too. Gentlemen, it appears I've fallen ill. And then she goes back to her regular voice when she says, can we take a recess, like mid-throw up? Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Ugh. So then this is where Leslie is feeling the pressure of not knowing what to do, and this transition of being on the city council versus being on the parks department where she knew everything. And it's such a huge change. But then we get a little Jerry moment, which is very sad because we haven't even talked about it yet. But Jerry and Donna don't have like anything going on in this episode, which, you know, whatever. Donna especially, I am mad about that she doesn't have anything going on. But Jerry makes an appearance and reminds them that not everything has changed because he is asking how to dissolve super glue because he got it stuck on his fingers, which gives her an idea, which we will see a little bit later. But before that, Ben comes to talk to Ellis and can't quite get into the kissing ass thing. He's just like giving up and he's like, okay, you got to respect me. Also, side note, Ben, I don't know if you saw this in your research, but Ben is imitating an SNL skit.
Yeah.
With Rob Schneider's copy guy. Oh my God. Have you seen that? I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I had never seen it. So I looked it up and I have to, like, for those of you that haven't seen it, I recorded it because I just think it's really interesting. Hold on.
It's the inflection of what he's saying and everything.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a copy guy and he like tries to be friends with everybody that rolls in to the copy room. On SNL, Rob Schneider plays it and Ben is kind of like doing the same inflection. So I have to play it for you.
Tomster making copies, Mr. Tom. Tommy! Yeah, see ya.
That was like a very short snip of it. Because honestly, I was like, this is 4 minutes of him doing exactly that. Making copies. I was like, oh my God. Sting comes in too in one of the episodes that SNL did, and he does it to Sting, and I think that's hilarious.
It was a reoccurring character, I think, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then the other voice memo that I have to play for you is when there's a deleted scene that I meant to play before during the Ultimate game, and I'll just play it for you.
Man, you guys are so bomb at Ultimate. Seriously, you could have all played on my school's varsity team. They wouldn't have made the JV team. They stunk. But couldn't hurt to blow a little smoke up Colin Powell's next-door neighbor's kid's ass, which is probably bruised since I kicked it all over the field.
Yeah.
Again, it's like this mixture of him trying to fit in and then he like is faking it so hard that he's like, I'm confident. Like, I totally did this. The last part of that was him like sitting in his office and his like feet are up on the desk, you know. Oh my God. Oh, Ben.
Oh, Ben.
And he's handing out Snapples at the beginning. I wonder if they
fancy.
I know.
Those aren't cheap.
I know. And I wonder if they cut that for like copyright reasons.
Oh, could be.
Maybe not though. I don't know. Anyhow, so he breaks down. Ben breaks down and says like, "Okay, I can't do this. Like, you just have to respect me. You can't just keep disrespecting me like this." And then this is like the awful part that we learned that April drew the picture. Not only that, but that everyone thinks that she's his daughter, which would make sense, I guess, if everyone's related. But it's so heartbreaking, like we just talked about. Like, Ben thinks April's his friend, and I'm not honestly like, I don't know. Maybe you can shed some light on this, but I don't know where Ben got this idea that they're like friends. Is it just them being in close proximity? Because they're not like, they don't hang out, do they?
No, but. How would I describe this? Because they hang out with the same people.
Yeah.
You know, like, and they're part of this big group of friends.
Yeah. I guess that's fair.
So they're not like friends.
Yeah.
I think they are when they leave DC.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they're at least acquaintances, and I would he brought her with him.
Yeah.
So to me, I would expect that person to be on my side at least. Maybe not, maybe friend isn't the right word. I don't know. I feel like people describe friends differently because some people call people their friends and then some people call people their best friends, and it's like, but they're not really best friends.
Right.
You know, that's not who you go to for like all the stuff and you open your heart to all the time, but it's like just an expression to them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what his meaning is here. I definitely think there's a friendship. I'm putting quotation marks around this for everybody who can't see me. that is not comparative to the people in the office.
Yeah. That's a good point. Like people do consider,
she's his work friend, kind of.
Yeah, work friend. That's a better,
Does that make sense?
guess, phrasing of it. No, you're right. The thing about them being in the same like circle, I
Mm-hmm.
guess that would constitute as like friend. Yeah. I'm very like particular about that kind of thing. I've been getting better at it, but I don't know why like that kind of clarification on who people are to me in my life and what boundaries they each have. I'm very strict about that. And so I'm trying to be better, like a little bit more casual about it. But that's when he said that they were friends. I was like, is she though? Like, but yeah, they know each other. I guess that's what he really meant. But maybe not. Maybe he really does think that they're friends. But from the outside, you're like, but again, like you said, work friends shouldn't disrespect each other like that either.
Right. Well, and I think there are these two people coming from this small pond to this big pond together.
Yeah.
Like I think he was hoping they could rely on each other.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that makes sense. But I guess my question also here is like, what does this solve for April? Like she doesn't care about being liked by other interns. So it's not like she's trying to get on their good side. And he wasn't being so mean and awful to her in particular. So it wasn't really like a clapback revenge moment. I guess she's just bored. Like it's awful because Ben is just so hurt and it wasn't funny at all. So I just don't get it, you know?
Yeah. She could be bored.
Yeah.
She's April, so sometimes she thinks through what's going to be funny and what's going to get a reaction rather than how is this going to impact somebody's feelings.
Yeah. That's real.
You know, she's still growing up.
Yeah, she is. And I mean, you do see like a hit of like regret after he walks out. And I'm glad that Ben goes off on her. We'll get there when we get there, but I'm just like, I'm glad that he just kind of walked out and didn't say like, oh, it's okay. Like it's all broken now. You know what I mean? Which I think is good.
Yeah. Cause I 100%, I loved that because I am a say it's okay person, leave the situation, stew in it, and then be like, fuck, I should have stuck up for myself or I should have said this. And then sometimes I come back and say it later, like when it's worth it to me. But I'm not eloquent about it because
it's hard.
I'm still mad that I didn't do it in the initial moment.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that's hard anyway.
So I like that.
Like when you think of what to say afterwards because you're just so flustered in the moment. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why it was like accurate for me to see him walk out instead of like be mad in that second. You know what I mean? Because that's totally how you would react. Anyhow, okay, so now Leslie is going to Ron and says that people might want to fire her / recall her. And he's like, so what? I tried to fire you 4 times. Oh my God, that's a heartbreaking moment too. This is a really hard Leslie episode. Like she is going through lots of shock, lots of surprise, disappointment, hard transitions, like new information. And this is a lot to handle for her, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So anyway, before we get to like discovering about the 4 fire times, as she says, now we're with Chris, and medically he is fine, but he's depressed. And I also love Andy's line of minimum champion because he got the minimum requirement.
Champion. Yes.
And
love it.
Yeah, me too. So Chris is really having these existential moments, and Andy does kind of spark it, but Tom brings it home when, you know, they're both pretty insightful about like, too bad there's not doctors for your mind. And guess what? There are therapy. And so that is what Tom suggests. And it is interesting to hear Chris say that he has never thought about therapy. Like this is not something that he has really had in his mind. And it makes a lot of sense. Like a lot of people don't really look at that as a health necessity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would say we've made a lot of strides in the last 10 years, but 10 years ago, I mean, and we still have a lot of work to do, right? But 10 years ago, I think a lot of people still felt like therapy was for people who were, you know, broken or went through some big traumatic event, which, do therapy after that. But, you know, every person, doesn't matter what you've been through, could benefit from therapy because we don't take a lot of time to sit and think about why we do the things that we do or why we think the way that we think. And I think when you have some knowledge into that, you just become a better friend, a better partner, a better, you know, version of yourself. And so I'm really proud of Tom here. Tom also could probably go to therapy, but I'm really proud of him. I'm really proud of him here for, that's tough, right? He had to kind of take that wall down of this is my boss or someone who's an authoritative figure at work and look at him more like a friend.
Yeah.
And bring that up. And I'm really glad that Chris takes it nicely. Like, you can tell a lot of people in your life, hey, you should probably go to therapy. I've done it and I've not gotten good reaction. And you're coming from a place of love and I want you to get better. And it sometimes is not taken that way. It's taken very critically and then you get a lot of criticism back. So I'm proud of Tom for taking that step of this could backlash or this could help him.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that he's respectful about it at the end when he says, I hope I'm not out of line, you know?
Absolutely. He was very respectful about it.
Yeah. My tactic with that, and not that I've done it a ton, but is more of like, well, have you ever thought about therapy? Because I do it, and it does seem to help. And they take it a little bit more, you know, because it's not critical at that point. You're just curious.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know,
well, and you're putting it on you too, right? Like, it's something I do.
Yeah.
It's not like you're asking them to do something or suggesting them to do something that you you haven't done.
Right.
People take that better too.
Or even if you like don't say the last part, you know, just asking them, have you ever thought about it? It's again, it's more of like coming out of a curiosity as opposed to like, I'm judging you now.
You need therapy.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is true. I mean, Chris has never thought about this. He's always focused on external goals, which I think is a really interesting and so real thing to, you know, you always focus on it. So why would you think about internal goals? And I love this line of, I need to climb the Mount Everest of my mind.
Mm-hmm. Well, and he's usually such a happy guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but that doesn't mean people aren't hurting on the inside.
Right.
But he gives off this such positive vibe that I doubt he ever thinks that he needs it because he can function.
Right.
In the areas he needs to. Now he's starting to not, right?
And I think it's a good illustration too of like even the smartest people just sometimes need help and sometimes don't always see what could be a solution. You know what I mean? Because he knows he's been feeling depressed for a while. And he knows that he has had some like really sad / you know, transformative things happen to him. And just whatever, life changes. But yeah, I think it's interesting that now we're just kind of laying it out of like, here's a solution. Maybe you could try. I don't know. And then it's nice that he takes well to it. So anyhow, so now we're back at why, Leslie is asking why Ron tried to get her fired, and we learned that he ended up not going through with the termination request because he'd rather work with someone of conviction than a wishy-washy kiss ass, and I do love that line very much. And I also love the next line of like, you may have wandered into unknown terrain, but you're still you. I really love that. It's really wonderful and something that we can all relate to with life transitions, and it's hard. I mean, it's really hard, but like you still have you inside of you, if that makes sense. You still have your compass, and it's not, you know, weak to still seek help or advice or like talk to somebody about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard as hell though on the therapy note. Oh my God, which I won't talk about this a long time, but all I'll say is finding a therapist is sometimes hard. It just is.
Yeah, it's people don't think that. I would say it's even harder than finding a doctor that you like because there's a huge vulnerability that comes with therapy. And even though it's not somebody you know in your everyday life and they, you know, HIPAA is a thing, it's still hard. Like, you still want to trust the person and have a relationship and rapport with the person that you're about to like unleash your deepest, darkest thoughts and fears to.
Yeah, and on that note, I mean, it takes a long time to get through everything. So, like, if you're meeting with someone, it's not like you can always meet with them once and just think like, oh, okay, yeah, that person's good. I've gotten to the point now where I feel like I can do that, where I'm just like, okay, we're gonna help each other. But sometimes you do have to give a therapist like 2 or 3 times before you can like really feel if this is gonna work or not, which sucks. You know?
Yeah. Well, because if it doesn't work out, it feels like a waste of time and money.
Yeah. So keep trying if you're trying, which is what I'm doing. So So Leslie says she'll never forget about the fire times and never forgive him. I love this too because Ron is like, there she is. And he gives her a compass, which is really nice. And she uses that later on. But April comes in now back in the DC office to Ben's office and tries to make light because the report that she gives him has a bunch of different fonts playing on him not loving all the fonts. So like we talked about in the beginning of the episode, trying to get him to laugh and kind of make light of this situation. And I love that Ben takes this seriously. I really like that he speaks directly and gets a little stern with her because he's also complimenting her too and saying like, I hired you because I thought you're smart. I think you're smart. And I chose this for you. Like I want you to progress in your life. But this is a good lesson. Like at the end of the day, you get out what you put in. And she, oh my gosh, the negotiating 15% effort. April, come on.
Awful.
But She's learning. She's learning. Side note, behind him, Leslie's book on Pawnee is on his bookshelf.
Love it.
It's so cute.
Cute.
I love that. So, back at City Council, Leslie looks at the compass before they vote, and she votes for the tax. It passes 3-2, which means that other people voted for it too. It's not all Leslie.
It's not on her fault. Yeah.
If they're gonna recall her, they should recall everybody else that voted for it. Makes me mad.
Absolutely.
I know she
agree.
started it. I get it, but also like other people think it's a good idea too. Hello.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay.
I have a lot of when we get to the recall stuff.
Oh my gosh, I know.
I get so mad.
I wonder. I was gonna say I wonder who did vote for it, and I bet Hauser did. I bet he voted for it. I'm glad.
Yeah.
Also, side note, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't have noticed this. You probably saw this in your research too. But Jam is a different person in this episode. There is another city councilor there, and it is not John Glazer.
Yeah, he doesn't come in until the next episode.
You're right. The How a Bill Becomes a Law one. And he looks similar. I feel like it's dark hair and a beard and stuff, but I don't know if they had that character planned yet.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, very intriguing.
They couldn't have, otherwise they would have had him sitting in.
I feel that they would have.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that was a really interesting thing because I had to go back and watch it when I saw that online. I was like, oh my God, let me go see because I didn't even notice. So, yeah, definitely a cool trivia moment. And Dex Hart was there, who, again, reminder, we've talked to him. Kevin Simons, shouts to him. He's amazing. All right. So now we are at the tag. Oh, before I get there, though, I love that Ron comes back as Leslie's mentor in the city council because we haven't really seen him do that for her in her new position as a city councilor. I feel like it's really nice to see him, continue his giving advice and being that voice of reason and being that constant, steady person. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Agreed.
So I think it's good. Okay, so now the tag is here. April is scaring Ellis, and I think this part of her personality, this is a good moment. This is especially like I love that it's, and when I say her personality, because it's like a mixture of like I'm scared, but also I'm turned on at the same time. Like from Ellis, you know what I mean? I could see that running through his head maybe. And I also like that when she comes up to him, he's on the phone and his line or whoever he's talking to, he's like, "Yeah, I love cupcakes." Did you notice that?
Yes. Why?
Oh my God. But yeah, and she knows where he lives. Oh my God, that's even scarier. Ben likes that too. And I do too, really. Like using her evil for good. Ben kind of gives like a approving smile vibe. It still doesn't really at this moment, like you just said a little bit ago, that it doesn't make me like less angry at her like yet. But it does like soften the blow, I guess. She's trying.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that takes her.
Yeah.
So anyways, do you have any other notes before then?
No.
Okay, awesome. Well, that was Soda Tax. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Thank you so much again to everyone for sending in voice memos. This is amazing. So I know this is a really long one, so if you have to split it into parts, that's totally understood. I get it. Don't forget to rate and review us on Park Pals Podcast if you haven't already, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your stuff. Follow us on Instagram. You can get all of the, updated things, TikTok. Those videos are really fun to see the facial expressions and how excited we get. So that's fun for you. And yeah, let us know if you have any questions or anything like that. But I don't know when this will come out, to be honest. So I just hope that you have a nice summer. So yes, anyways, thank you, Maddie, for coming on. I appreciate it.
Of course. I love being here, as you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, have a good week, everybody. And we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.
There's a park and some pals, and there's also therapy too.